RLCS Worlds AMA, let's get stuck in. So, question 1 from Flood GF. Will Mena or South America ever have a world champion? Who do you think will win first? First part, I think the answer is yes. Who do I think will win first? That's really difficult. I don't know. Don't know who's going to win first, because this season had Falcons finishing 2nd in London, Furia finishing 3rd equal in Worlds. They're both pretty close. They're both obviously contenders for any LAN. And then the club looked really good. And you've got a lot of youngsters coming up in Mena right now, Ruas, Kalirs, and Naupo, who can all clearly compete on a world level. So, who first? No, it's really just a coin flip for me. But I guess I'll say Mena, because the youngsters coming up there they're just built different. So I'll have to back Mena, since youngsters seems to be where it's at these days for getting deep runs and lands. But yeah, Lost did really well, KV1, and Astromic solid for the club. Definitely no, neither of those regions are one-team regions in my opinion. Okay, so Captain Loja says, in my opinion, Extra Card and Kaio are being overshadowed by the star players on their team, deserve more credit for the impressive performance at Worlds. Would I agree? Well, I think, yeah, maybe they're being a little bit overshadowed. I would agree with that, because you've got Yan, Monkeyman, and Seiko, so hard not to be in the shadow of those guys because they always steal the spotlight. But do they get enough credit? I think probably. I've heard a lot of people singing Card's praises about his Worlds performance, myself included. I thought he was phenomenal. Kaio at London got a ton of praise. I thought he was fantastic. Gamers 8 as well. I think they both did really well. And Extra, you know, all the way back at Fall Major when they won, got a ton of credit. I think a lot of people are talking about how great he was at Worlds. I think they get a lot of credit, and they deserve it. How did I like the Friday Night Duels format? Can you speculate as if we'll see more in the future events? As to whether or not we'll see more, no idea. I would consider it a success, personally, because, you know, over 100,000 viewers stuck around to watch it online. And from watching Gamers 8 ones and Worlds ones, it's really, really tense, really entertaining. And a lot of people spoke to me at the event saying how much they were looking forward to it, and afterwards how much they enjoyed it. So I think it was a massive success, easy integration. As for the format, Psyonix actually asked me what do I think they should do with 3 games, because they only had time for 3 games, exactly 3 games, and I suggested the format that they ended up going for, because I thought, well, if you've only got 3 games, there's no point doing a best of 3, you might as well do 3 best of 1s. So I think given the time constraints that they had, the format was phenomenal. Obviously, it would be, you know, more exciting if you could have a kind of best of 5 format. Maybe a crew battle kind of elimination format, so you've got your first 3 matches confirmed, just as we did there. But then when you lose, you're eliminated. Just to give you an example of what that could look like, if both Jack and Joyous lose, then TRK would need to win 3 in a row to win for the East. It wouldn't have happened, it would have been a sweep, but that's just an idea for how to, I think, make it a bit better. Oh boy, thanks for 100 bits. He says, do you think NA's inability to surpass EU in Worlds lately is rooted in straight skill, playstyle, or other factors? I'm sure we'll talk about that more as we go through today, but it's really just, you know, whoever, it just depends who can play better on the day. And I think EU's just got more teams that can pop off and win right now. Whereas NA seems to be a lot more consistent at the top. EU, like one of the teams peaking and winning seems to be more likely. You know, BDS, Carmine Corp, Team Liquid, Moist, they all seem pretty scary. Even if one of them's not showing up, another one will. Whereas NA seem to be quite steady with results, which makes sense given the way that they play. We'll talk about that some more, I'm sure. Hey, Spaceman Senior. Cheers to give to the sub to KCG, or KC Gekyumi. Welcome, KC Gekyumi. Spaceman. I just saw it in my head. Is it Spaceman Senior or as Spaceman SR? What's the SR even stand for? I like to think it's Senior. There's a space boy out there somewhere. Oh, Sean Rogers. Also makes sense. Alright, anyway. Do you think Dig needs a roster change? If not, well, I'll skip that second part. Yeah, I think Dig needs a roster change. I think clearly they've got problems, and I don't think they can fix it. They've had enough tries at it. I think they've got to get a roster change. Yeah, I would agree. With Rails moving out of SSG, what do you think is the best move for him to go to Optic or reform Peeps? Will SSG be better with LJ rumored? Will they be better? Who knows? SSG have made no public announcement yet as to what they're going to do, so that's, you know, all speculation right now. I think LJ is a phenomenal player, but I think Rails is a phenomenal player as well. What do I think Rails should do? I think Rettel should like try and get as many different tryouts as he can and see which one works the best. Reforming the peeps it's a really cool idea, but who knows if that works? No clue. Okay, bit controversial, but yeah, you just gotta do as many tries as you can. Bit controversial, given that G2 crushed NA and BDS beat them, struggle more with KC and Furia, and the Moist is pretty much equal with Furia. Seems like top EU teams are quite far ahead of NA. Do you think G2 would have had a chance against KC, Furia, Moist? I think any team making the final, any team except NRG, and I know people are going to be like, whoa, calm down. But no, I really do believe when I say it. I think any team except NRG had a chance to win. I didn't see it. I said it on the desk before the final day. I don't see how NRG is going to win this. I don't even see how they're going to beat G2, to be honest. But any of the other teams, all other 7 teams, G2, FaZe, V1, I could see them making it the entire way, with G2 obviously having the best shot because they've won a tournament this season. But NRG, I saw nothing from them this tournament that would indicate they're a tournament winning team. Nothing. I don't even think NRG were a top 10 team at this event. I think the club were more impressive. I think Falcons were more impressive. I think, probably SSG were more impressive. Definitely SSG, actually. Maybe even Dignitas looked like they had better pop-off potential to win a LAN than NRG did because they swept SSG. So I'd probably power rank NRG around about 12th best team at LAN. I think they were better than Endpoint, Semper, Renegades, and Optic in the main event. But I think all the other 11 teams are probably above them. So I think all the other, but that's back to the original question. I think any of the other NA teams had a shot. It really just depends who shows up on the day. And on the day, the EU/SAM side of the bracket showed up a lot better. So yeah, I said at the start of the day, can't remember if I said this in the pre-show because we had a lot to talk about in the pre-show. Don't know if we got around to this, but I did say that I thought the winner would be from the EU/SAM side of the bracket. That's what I expected. And that's what happened. But yeah, I think it didn't. I don't think it mattered who made the final out of that side of the bracket. Furia, Moist, BDS, KC. I think that they were going to win because they just looked better at the event and looked better on the final day as well. But yeah, NA were not far off. It wasn't like, what did I say here? Quite far ahead of NA. I don't think they were far ahead. I think they were just ahead. They weren't like quite far ahead. That's a bit too much. Do you think Falcons lost because of Telebill boost management? I think that's one of the reasons. I think Falcons boost management was not so much the root of the problem, but more a symptom of the problems that they had. So I think, from just watching the Falcons games and watching their reactions on stage, they seemed to be just nervous and hesitant compared to other teams. So when you're nervous and when you're hesitant, you hold back in your, big plays a bit, looking at TRK in the 1v1. I know it's a show match, but still, it's a show match. He's not even going for flip resets. So I was like, TRK seems nervous on the stage here. He's not actually committing to these plays. And when you were watching Falcons play threes, kind of a similar thing at times where they're like not really committing. They didn't believe in themselves to execute on their big plays. And yeah, they were hesitating with their approach a lot, which, when you're slowing down, when you're having to accelerate again, you do run out of boost more quickly than somebody who's just maintaining their momentum, driving supersonic the entire time. So I think their boost management was a symptom of their main problem being hesitation and nerves. But yeah, they just couldn't figure out how to feel confident in that environment, which is such an important part. One of the absolutely most important things these days to winning a Rocket League LAN. What do you think about having an halftime air show? Yeah, seems cool. Why not? Thought, would that be as cool as a 1v1 or a freestyle? I don't think so, because it's more like a video content piece than live action. But yeah, maybe during the break or something would be a cool time for this. Mamdu96, thanks for the 7-month Prime, and also XJ Damn Clutch, thanks for the brand new Prime. Welcome to the channel. Falcons need a coach. Well, they've got a manager. Whether or not they need a coach, I feel like a lot of teams, as a lot of fans, as soon as a team loses, say, "Well, they need a coach." I don't know. I mean, you shouldn't just throw someone into a coaching role for the sake of having a coach. Like, a lot of the best teams in Rocket League have won LANs, even nowadays, without a gameplay coach. Like you don't really need a gameplay coach for 3v3 in my opinion. It's better, you know, not to just shove someone random into the role. It's better to wait for a good one that makes sense than to just throw in somebody random who might actually make the team worse than they were to begin with. But yeah, I think it's hard to, you know, travel 8 hours time zones and then play your best Rocket League as well. Jet lag is a real thing. I was surprised to see EU teams doing as well as they did, having to travel so far. Because yeah, travel is it's no joke. And then again, BDS did go out way early, so did Dignitas. Not sure how early the other teams. I think Carmine went out really early as well. Yeah, teams who go out super early to acclimatize, I think did a bit better. The Mena teams did not do that. What teams Rel joining? No idea. What do you think about Furia's playstyle using Yanmar as third man? I'm not sure if that was like their plan or if it just ended up happening. But I think it looked really good. I think Furia looked like a tournament contender, so I love what they're doing right now. I think Yan still has a lot of freedom to play like he wants to up front, but yeah, he's super solid in defense as well. Probably their most solid player in defense, so it makes sense to have him as more of a monkey moon kind of role, waiting for someone else to force or 50 and then lunging in. Yan's got unbelievable reads of the game. Like, people think he's just mechanics. He really isn't. He reads the game so well. Who do you think will perform better next season, SSG or Retake? I think that means Rettel's new team. I think you've got to say SSG for now until we find out what Rettel's new team is. If you had to choose between playing the Dominus for the rest of your RL career or having all your teammates play the Dominus, even randoms, which would it be? I think I would have to take the hit myself. I would have to play the Dominus for the rest of my career rather than have every teammate play it. What do you make of how many 4-0-4-1 series were decided by only 1-2 goals each game? Face of it looks like a blowout, but the game scores were nail biter. I didn't know that all of Swiss was going to be best of sevens. I don't really think best of 7 is necessary in anything in Rocket League outside of single elimination myself. That might be a hot take. I don't know if it is, but I prefer best of 7 to be reserved for, you know, top 4 in a double elim, or, you know, top 8 in a single elim. Maybe even top 4 in a single elim. I really think best of 5 is fine for figuring out which team is better in Rocket League. I think best of 7 is overused, personally. And some people suggesting best of 9. We got one right now. What do I think of best of 9 in final? I think that's a terrible idea. I tried that once in a tournament. Terrible idea. I think it's way too long. I think best of 7 is way too much for early game matches. Anything like double elimination groups in Swiss, I think should be best of 5. Best of 5 has more upsets. Disagree. I think it's mostly the same. It's mostly the same. If you look at what the score was after a best of 5 would have been over at Worlds that just happened, only one time in the entire tournament would the winner have been different, and that was Furia versus Moist. Furia are the only team who came back from losing a best of 5 and winning the best of 7 at Worlds. The only team. Chicago thinks final should be best of 9. Well, then I completely disagree with Chicago. It doesn't matter who thinks best of 9. You could tell me every single pro player in the scene thinks final should be best of 9. I completely disagree. It doesn't matter. I don't care who thinks best of 9 is a good idea. I think best of 9 is way too long. I think it's boring. I think it's absolutely impossible to come back from 4-0 down. We've never seen a best of 7 reverse sweep. Never mind best of 9 reverse sweep. Nah, best of 7 is already too long, I think. I prefer best of 5. Obviously, players are going to prefer best of 7 and best of 9 because there's less chance of them getting upset by like a minuscule percentage, and it's their job to try and make things as easy for themselves to win. But we're in the entertainment business. We're not out here trying to do best of 99s. I think best of 5 is sufficient. Until you get to like semis and finals, then sure, best of 7. That's just my opinion. Dampin Heart, thanks for the 3-month prime. Really appreciate you swinging by from YouTube, man. Which players impressed me the most? Well, the players who I think showed up really big compared to where I thought their team would be were Exotic. I thought he was phenomenal in Semper. It's really happy seeing Semper do really well. Lost didn't really surprise me. I mean, Lost might have been a surprise for a lot of people, but I guess it's just says impressed. Yeah, Lost and his team, sure, yeah, they impressed me, but I kind of expected that going in. So that wasn't so much like a surprise. I guess I'm I'm kind of imagining that this means surprised. Who surprised me the most? I mean, which players impressed me the most? I mean, Monkey Moon. Like, that's a boring answer, but I guess you know, the players who really like played a lot better and whose teams did a lot better than I thought they would be. I thought Renegades did really well to get out of Swiss. I thought Semper and Exotic did really well. Outside of that, let's think. Who else did really well? I guess that's the two that first come to mind. I guess Card actually. Card was sick. He actually outperformed Yan, in fact, statistically, which is crazy. Yeah, he was insane. We'll say Itachi as well. I think Itachi doesn't get enough praise. So yeah, Itachi was sick. Alright. How do I feel about RLCS adopting 2s 1s? I think it would be cool, but I don't see an easy integration. Let's just say it's hard to integrate. It's a lot harder than people think. But it would be cool. I think. Beast Mode. I mean, yeah. Listen. How about all the names I just said plus all the obvious answers? Because listen. I don't need to say the obvious ones. I don't need to say the obvious ones, or do I? Do I need to list off all 20 of the really obvious answers to this? No. But yeah, I would love if RLCS was multidiscipline. I think it would be fresh. I think having Gamers 8 between London and Worlds really made both events feel super fresh. If it was just threes, it would get kind of stale. By the time you get to like any regional 3 at the end of a split, it's like, this again, you know? It's like more threes. But with London, Gamers 8, Worlds, none of that felt like repetitive, partially because of the game modes switching up. Would you ever see a 32 team bracket? Probably one day, but that's going to take a while. That's a long way off. That's really expensive. Was this Peak Rocket League on LAN? Yeah, definitely. Every LAN is, usually better than the last. All right. Well, NA, EU have less major spots? No idea. I think it's possible, but what do you guys think? Should NA and EU have less major spots? Should they have more major spots? Should they have the same? I think the players will tell you more. The fans will tell you more or same. And then, people who can count to 16 will probably say same or less. Just depends on the format. Depends. I don't know what the format's going to be, so I can't really answer. Is it time for change the energy roster? I think so, yes. Who is the main target and who is the replacement? I mean, it's tough to say because I think energy can't get rid of Dustin. He's their best player, so it's Garrett or Squishy, and then Squishy is a really, really popular content creator, but Garrett is Garrett, so that's a tough one. Do I think they should make a change? It depends on what their goals are. If they just want to be friends and lose, then they should stay together. If they want to revitalize all of their careers, they should change. I don't see how they could never kick Squishy. Garrett, I mean. Squishy's the biggest content creator out of all the pro players, I guess. But Garrett's pretty popular as well, so it's not like there's a big difference. Sometimes you'll see teams getting rid of, a much smaller personality / content creator pro in favor of a similar level pro who's got a much bigger socials. But Garrett's really, really popular and, big socials as well. So I think the difference there is so small, it would be kind of insignificant. I suppose Squishy would be the best person to replace. But if Squishy did leave, he would get so many offers. He would get the bag, so it wouldn't even be bad. He could just go team up with Gimmick again or something. Rumors are that Space Station are eyeing LJ. That leaves a spot in Gimmick's roster. Bam. Reunion. And who's the main target for NRG? If I was NRG, I would probably be looking at wonder kids like Evo, because he's really good. I'd probably be thinking, so Space Station wants LJ. Hey LJ, do you want an NRG tryout? Just yoink. Get him, maybe. Steal him from one of your biggest rivals. Aqua as well is another beast. That would have to be a shout. Mist as well, yeah, good choice. Yeah, a lot of really talented players on weak teams right now. So I think they would be obvious targets. But yeah, you've got to try out a bunch, You've got to try them all out. Right. Tier list of team performances. We might do that. Would I get another Megarita? Thank you, Cat Jeans, for this brilliant photo. Appreciate you linking that one in reply to the AMA thread. So story behind this one. I think I might be able to... Hold on, let me find the pictures on Cat Jeans' Twitter. She's probably got them in here somewhere. Cat Jeans is a player manager for the Pioneers. Hold on. Let me just find the picture. She tweets a lot. Scrolling. When did Worlds even start? What day did we begin? Oh my goodness, Cat Jeans tweets so much. I can't find it. I'm still scrolling. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'll tell you the story. What happened here was that the boys ordered one of them big, like, group cocktails, you know? Like, one of the big ones. I don't know if I can find a picture of the original one, but it was some, like, I don't know, some really sweet cocktail. And we deleted it in like 10 minutes. It was like basically 4 in 1 between 4 people, so it's like 1 cocktail each. And yeah, deleted it in 10 minutes. It was way too sweet. And we asked the waiter which one of these in the selection for the team cocktails was like the least sweet. She said this one, so we ordered it. And then we drank it in like 10 minutes, so we were like, that was pure sugar. It was like pure sugar. So we asked her, so would it be possible to get like an entire, like, you know, fishbowl filled with margaritas? And she's like, what do you mean? What? We said, just, you know, could you get 1 regular margarita, or make 4 of them, and then pour them all in here in the big bowl and serve us that? It's not on the menu, but could you make that? She was like, hold on, let's go and ask the bartender. So she goes and asks the bartender, comes back and she's like, yeah, he says he can do it for you. So that's going to be like, he said 4.5-ish margaritas, so I'll just charge you for 4. And there's 4 of you, so that should be fine. And we were like, excellent, let's do that. Restaurant, what restaurant was it? It was Jake's, right across the road from the hotel. What we failed to calculate was, even though, you know, 4 cocktails in 1 receptacle between 4 people seems reasonable, what we failed to remember was that when you have a mass of ice that big, it does not thaw, it does not melt. It just, if anything, it got colder and colder. It gained strength as we went on. So usually a frozen margarita, it'll start to melt as you're drinking it, so you don't get that much brain freeze. Maybe a little bit, but this one was, it was just solid ice the entire time. It was just complete ice the entire time. It wouldn't thaw. So anyway, here's some pictures. That's me with brain freeze, obviously. There was 4 of us, me, Stumpy, Cole, and Shogun. And then Cat Jeans started helping us towards the end because we were struggling big time. It was just so cold. It was just so cold. But one of us would, like, you know, take as big of a sip as they could until brain freeze became overwhelming. And then we'd be like, brain freeze. Okay, brain freeze. And, you know, go recovery mode for a bit. And then we'd look at how much damage we'd done, and it would have moved like this much. Like nothing. I'd be like, what? How have I, like, given myself brain freeze and it's not even moved? This is a joke. So here's some other photos of Cole at the start, loving life by the end, brain freeze. Cole actually finished it, by the way. So it was his birthday. So for his birthday, he finished it off. So when he got to the end, there was just like the ice dregs remaining, and he just went for it. Look at the pain. Look at the pain. He did well, though. He did well. So congratulations to Cole. Happy birthday. But that's where this came from. Would I get another one? Yeah, I would. It was an experience. It was freezing, but it was an experience. I would challenge... what would be cool is a Megarita race. So we called it the Megarita. We would race someone. So next time we're at Jake's, if any 4 people think they can devour a Megarita faster than the EU casters, let us know. We're going to put you in the bin. So yeah, thanks for that, Cat Jeans. TT, you shouldn't. Thanks for the 13-month tier 1. Welcome back to the channel. And Dampen Art as well, the 3-month prime. Welcome back. Why was your message deleted? Probably caps. Probably Nightbot got you for the caps. What was the best thing at 8 out at Worlds? The Korean barbecue. After BDS won Worlds, did they overtake GFE Dig as the greatest RL team? Oh, sorry, I missed one. I'll come back to it. Stumpy's asking, do I think BDS are the greatest Rocket League team? I don't think so, because they're two different rosters. You know, half of their achievements were with Marked by 8, and the other half were with Seiko. So I don't think you can compare them to Gale Force Esports / Dignitas, who were the same 3 players all the way through. I think for BDS to, you know, be in the same kind of realm as GFE Dig, they need to win another major next season. If they can win 2 more majors or another Worlds, boom, they're the greatest team of all time. If they win Worlds again, or another major, or another 2 majors, they're clear. I think 1 more major would get them to GFE Dig-ish level. Because GFE Dig won Worlds as a trio. They won it twice. So they won 2 Worlds between them. And then they also won... they came second in another Worlds. And they also won, I think, 3 other LANs. They won Gnarly 2. They won... what else did they win? They won a DreamHack, I think. No, did they? What else did they win? I swear that they won other LANs, so I'm totally forgetting what they did. They came second in a bunch of LANs, basically. Their achievements were pretty insane. I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, I think 1 more major for the current BDS roster, you get to the roundabout the same level. But until then, we can't even have the conversation. It wasn't X Games, no, it wasn't X Games. Ginger Snap, thanks for the 8-month Prime. Welcome back to the channel, man. So back to this question: do I think Friday Night Duels will open the way for more runs in RLCS? Who knows? Maybe. Universal Open? Yeah, that's like 2-player event though, isn't it? But yeah, okay. Well, we talked a little bit about Friday Night Duels. Sure there'll be other questions about it as well. Hopefully it's... I would love to see RLCS be multidiscipline, like I said. We'll have to wait and see if our RLCS, if Psyonix agree. Okay, NA Crowd from Samuel. Not just the clip you posted, but overall, could barely hear it during the whole event. How was it being there? Well, I didn't get a chance to listen back to much of the stream yet, but the bits of the stream that I have listened back to, the crowd was pretty loud. I've watched back a couple of the series from the video. I thought the crowd came through pretty loud, to be honest, but I don't know about the entire event because I've not had a chance to watch back the whole thing yet. But one thing you've got to remember is that audio mixing is quite difficult. So usually what a production team will do at the start of an event is they'll start off low and they'll gradually build up the volume as you go, so that you don't have any like feedback in the venue and you don't accidentally blast it too loud online as well. So yeah, start online. Usually day 1, what you hear on the live stream will not be a good indication of what it's like in the venue. But I thought the crowd overall was very, very loud. Definitely, when something happens, the crowd's going crazy. So yeah, they were really loud during goals and stuff. But it's a different culture. You're not going to get like noise and chants and cheering and all of that like you do in London. In North America, you just don't get that in NA. They just kind of go and watch, but at London they go and they make a fool of themselves for everybody's entertainment. It's just a different kind of vibe. But yeah, I don't know. I've not watched back, so I can't really comment too much. Think single elimination bracket is the right way to go for a world championship. With double elimination, there's a way better chance that the 2 best teams will battle it out in the finals. While in single elim, you could have the 4 best teams on one side of the bracket and NA on the other. Okay, I have to admit, you got me in the first 3/4 of that message. I thought it was just a normal question. Yeah, that's one of the downsides of single elimination is you can't have all of NA on one side of the bracket and just get a totally free run to the final. You've got a good point. But now, truth be told, I think single elimination is the best way to have a world championship. I think it's the best way because the entire purpose of the season up until that point is to figure out, okay, who are the best teams in the world? Who are the next best teams in the world for wildcard? Wildcard's job is to figure out who are the best 8 teams in wildcard, and then the group stage is to figure out, okay, who are the top 8 teams? And then the end is just like, right, these are the top 8 teams. Go. We're going to come out with one winner. You know, you've had enough chances by then. I like single elimination better than any other way of doing the World Championship final. Just the way I would have done it is single elimination, either best of 7 all the way through, or quarterfinals best of 5, semifinals and final best of 7. Because like I said earlier, I think best of 7 is overrated. I think it would be totally fine to shorten the day a little bit with best of 5s in the quarters, and and then best of 7s for the semis and the finals. Or best of 5s all the way until the final, then make the final best of 7. Something like that. I would actually consider that. Some people might think I'm crazy, but I feel like best of 7's overrated for like earlier rounds. But I'm okay, I can accept playoffs best of 7. But yeah, if it was me doing the format, I would have never had like quarterfinals be best of 7s at all throughout the entire year. Majors, online, Worlds, I would never have a quarterfinal be a best of 7. Takes too long. I would save best of 7 for like top 4 in everything. That's just my opinion. Sarteezy, thanks to the 15-month Prime. It says, will APAC/SSA catch up to other regions anytime soon? Anytime soon, probably no, because the population is a lot lower and because their experience is a lot less. But over time, yeah, there will probably be a super team eventually that makes a deep run. Took OCE a bit before they got a top 4. They did it on their 4th try at Worlds. Like their 4th World Championship, OCE made their deepest run. Middle East got it on their 1st try with a full roster. So 2nd place in a major. Furia got it. That was South America's 1, 2. They played season 7, 8, fall, winter, 6th try. So yeah, if you give SSA 6 lands, you know, maybe they're gonna have a chance. Cheesy on to easy, thanks to the 11-month tier 1. Appreciate the kind words. Right, which series is the most fun to cast? I had a lot of fun casting. Honestly, a lot of the series I casted were really fun. But I really enjoyed Falcons Carmine Corp as a banger. That was a great series. I really enjoyed the what do you call it? Furia BDS series as well. That was a really good series. Those are probably, yeah, they're my 2 favorites because I did them in front of they were the only 2 series I casted in front of the big crowd. So they're the most memorable. But yeah, the 1v1 casts were also super sick. Okay, 1 of 2 from Adam K. The Worlds format should have been best of sets in the playoffs. It's a bit harsh for teams to come all this way, start slow in a best of 7, and end their whole season. If not best of sets, double elimination. Really like the RLCS X Worlds format. Should be that, but with 8 teams instead of 2. It's so underwhelming having one best of 7. Imagine G2 versus KSO was a best of 3 set. That would have been even better. That group stage format is also so bad. Swiss would have been much better. Seems like Falcons got done dirty after winning their first game compared to NRG. Okay, since that last part was kind of a different topic, I'll answer that one quickly. And that's yes, I think I can get behind the group stage being suboptimal for one thing. It's good for entertainment. Double elimination groups are very good for entertainment value. Are they good at figuring out what the best 8 teams are out of 16? Not really, because if you have a group of death like we did, then Group A will have a couple of teams getting through with pretty easy runs. So yeah, Swiss would have done a better job at figuring out the top 8, but was double elimination groups really entertaining? Yes. So it depends what you want. Do you want entertainment value? I think now we've done it once. If I could go back, if I had full control and somebody said, Johnny, you can go back and you can change the Worlds format any way you want, what are you doing? I would have left wildcard as Swiss, except made it all best of 5 instead of 7. I would have taken the group stage for Worlds, turned that into Swiss as well, except best of 5 instead of 7. So just Swiss into single elimination, and then yeah, quarterfinals can all be best of 5s, and then semis and finals can be best of 7. What do I think about best of set and double elimination? Like Adam is suggesting, I think they're too slow, too boring, and I don't think they are interesting enough to keep viewers watching. I prefer just one series and done. You know, if you're talking about, is it harsh to come all the way and play a best of 7? No, it's not. It's the same for both teams. You've got to win. Why should a team deserve more chances? It's World Championship. Just like the World Cup, and it's the biggest sporting event in the entire world, happens every 4 years. What is the grand final? That's right, 1 game. Do you do best of sets at the World Cup? No. Do you do an aggregate score, best of aggregate in 2 at the Champions League final, the second biggest sporting event? That happens it's the biggest annual sporting event. It's like 7 times more watched than the Super Bowl. Champions League final is the only match in the entire tournament that teams only play once. Every match up until that point, they do 2, and they take the aggregate score of the 2. Grand final, 1. Why don't we just play best of 1? Because it's too short. You've got to find the balance. I think best of 5 is a sweet spot for Rocket League. I think that's long enough that upsets aren't going to happen too often, but it's short enough that it isn't going to drag on and get boring. I think best of 5 is a sweet spot. Yeah, maybe best of 7 for top 4. And anybody, listen, however you guys do it in your American sports, I can't comment. I don't watch them. So I'm sticking to stuff I do know. I watch Champions League. I watch the World Cup. Should we run the 100-meter race 10 times at the Olympics? Just in case the guy who won wasn't really the winner, wasn't really the fastest guy. So when Usain Bolt wins 100 meters at the Olympics, should we do it again to make sure it wasn't a fluke? No! You run it once. One time. Get out of here with your best of sets and your double elimination. We don't want to crown a loser the champion. You lose, you lost. Bye-bye. Unlucky. Alright, Mira. Thoughts on having every game be a best... Mira! Did you not listen to everything I've been saying? I talked to Mira about this at the event, so I think that she's like low-key trolling me here, but that's hilarious that it comes up right now. I didn't order these. But yeah, I don't like best of 7. I don't like it. Too long. M-Dog, thanks for 73-month tier 1. It's good seeing you at Worlds again, buddy. Cheesy on to easy as well with 11. Welcome back. Bad example? Which one of the examples was bad? I gave several. Mena, double elimination, Swiss, best of sets. These sound like qualifier formats for me. Final should be once. Best of 7. Winner is the world champion. Loser, unlucky. We'll talk more about the format. I'm going to keep going. Yeah, there's so many questions about format. What did I make about the format? Right, we've already talked about best of 7. 3 separate stages, 8 matches last day compared to low as 4. Okay, I already talked about best of set. I already talked about best of 7. But let's talk about 3 separate stages. 8 matches last day compared to as low as 4 before. Well, there was actually 7 series in the last day this time around. So there's 7 best of 7s on the final day. And before that, there was 4 on the Saturday and 4 on the Friday. Now, it's been a big criticism about the Worlds format is that it dragged on too long. Some people are saying that that's why the crowd all left. Some people are saying that that's why the viewership fell off a little bit. Now, I think those might have been contributing factors, but I think the viewership fell off online because it was just super late in Europe. It was like 2 in the morning in France when the grand final started. It was 1 in the morning in the UK. These are big viewer bases that were just sleeping. So it was just really late. It was a bad time zone. If you want to get your viewers peaking at the end of Worlds, the end of the day, you have to run it in Europe or you have to run it in like the Middle East. These are the best time zones to peak viewership at the end of the show. You can't really do that in Central America unless you start the show at like 5 a.m. local, which is not possible. So because venues aren't even open at that point. So the reason that viewership's falling off, the reason the crowd is getting tired is because it's the only time of the day that you can really do it. And yeah, America has a lot earlier day culture than Europe does, so they just kind of all go asleep. At least that's the impression I get from going to events in America over the years. I've been to 10 North American Rocket League LANs in my time, and I've been to even more than that in Europe. And Europe is a bit more of a night owl culture, especially in some places like Spain. People just don't go to bed. So if you're having it late and you want viewership to peak late, you need to do it in Europe, not America. But that being said, the viewership still got a record for Rocket League, so it was still a massive success. But it's just the wrong part of the world for it to be peaking at the end of the day. Now, to talk about 7 matches at the end of the day, as opposed to, or in the final day, as opposed to, some people were suggesting it should have been semi-finals and the final on the last day, all the quarterfinals, the day before that, and then 4 of the previous matches the day before that. Now, the issue with that is that 4 of the teams who qualify for the World Championship will not play in front of the crowd. They're just not going to get the chance to do that. There's going to be a long day at some point. There's going to be a long day. It's either going to be 8 matches, 4, then 3, or it's going to be 4 matches, then 8 matches, then 3, or it's going to be what happened, 4, then 7. Now, I think that the way that Rocket League, RLCS, and Psyonix chose to do it was the best way. I think having the entire playoff bracket be played out in the last day was the best way to do it. If it were my choice, I would have probably started it 1 hour earlier in the day, and like I keep saying, only have best of fives for the quarters, just to get it going a bit more quickly. But I like the way they did it, because if you don't do it the way that that happened, then some teams don't even play in front of the big crowd. They've qualified for the World Championship and they play downstairs in a tiny venue. So I think having 16 teams, it was the only way to get 16 teams in front of the crowd at some point. That's why they did it, and it was awesome. Now imagine a world where NRG don't get the group of life, they get the group of death, and they get eliminated. Like, they lose upper round 1 to V1 like they did, and then they lose lower round 1 as well, and then they don't play in front of the crowd. Every fan who bought tickets to come see NRG don't even get to see them because they're eliminated. So I think that this was by far the safest way to get fans to be happy. This was I think it's something that would have been complained about had it happened. It didn't happen because Psyonix chose to put all 16 teams in front of the main event crowd. But if they didn't, and NRG or someone gets eliminated, fans would have been devastated. In fact, it was one of the major criticisms from the London major and from the LA majors. People were complaining that, oh, my favorite team didn't even make crowd. Well, Psyonix addressed that by switching up the order of the games, putting it all on the last day. And now nobody's complaining about that anymore, because it's kind of a forgotten thing. But that was why Psyonix, I think, did that. Dweezy, thanks for the 16-month Prime. Welcome back to the channel. Favorite series to watch? Furia vs Moist. I've already answered. The favorite to cast was anything in front of the big crowd. Biggest disappointment, team/player. Let's see. Biggest disappointment. I think Veloce were probably the biggest disappointment. So Veloce is the Mena number 2 seed. And when I did my predictions video, I had them doing well in Swiss. I think I had them opening with a KCP victory. And then I can't remember who they beat in the second round. But yeah, I had them going through, but it wasn't like out of this world crazy. They didn't beat anybody ridiculous to go through. I think they beat Dignitas, which, you know, Dignitas can lose to anyone. So I didn't think it was even that crazy a prediction. But after I made that prediction, I looked at a translation of a Senzo interview. And in the Senzo interview, he said, so yeah, we've not been practicing, so we didn't think we were going to get our visas. Now we've got our visas and we've got 1 week to get ready. And I was like, oh. So it turns out they weren't practicing. They were already like getting ready to disband. They didn't think they were going to get visas for Worlds anyway. And then they got them and they're like, oh, whoops. So yeah, that's pretty disappointing that they didn't prepare at all. But, you know, good luck to them next season. Positive surprise, I've already said, I think Semper and Exotic, I think they were the real standout for me. Shame that they had the COVID problems. Do you think KC would have beaten G2 as easily as BDS did? I don't think as easily. I think BDS were clearly the best team on that side of the bracket, but I think, yeah, any team coming out of the EU SAM side of the bracket would have beaten G2 that day. G2 in the final looked like an absolutely nervous wreck, and the teams on the other side of the bracket looked a lot better. Our expectations for crowds too high. Not every experience is going to be London, and it's expected that regions will favour their teams at LAN. With this in mind, is the NA Worlds crowd getting too much hate? Okay, well, to answer this question, I have to establish like what exactly is the public opinion. I don't even know what the public opinion is. Like the only thing I know is that I tweeted out a video of fans leaving the venue. And I just thought that was kind of funny. It didn't mean anything more than that. I was like, lol, look at the American fans leaving. I'm going to get a video of that because it's going to farm impressions. That was it. That was my thought process. I tweeted it, and then I went about my the rest of my day. Then I came on to check Twitter like later that night and as well the next day, and people were like in uproar at like not just that video that I tweeted, but a bunch of like people were weighing in on the NA crowd. I think that my contribution was honestly it was a drop in the bucket. There were so many comments on Reddit, so many comments on Twitter. But yeah, a lot of people were taking it too far, I think, like saying things like there shouldn't be a Worlds in America again, which I think is really dumb. If you genuinely believe that, you're crazy. That's just a massive overreaction. And some people are saying that it was like disrespectful and stuff. It's disrespectful in every case to leave early, and I'm like, come on, you don't know the full situation here. Like obviously that is situational, but yeah, what do you guys think? What is the public opinion? I don't really know what the public opinion is about the NA crowd. My understanding is that NA crowd is more about the viewing experience. And EU, well, when I say EU crowd, it's not even EU, it's just London. It's just the UK. Like, if you compare an NA crowd to the UK, like UK crowd is going there to enjoy themselves, to have fun. Their main objective of your average person in the crowd is to have a good time. But your main objective for an NA person watching tends to be to see their team win. And if their team doesn't win, they're upset. Whereas most of the EU viewers, if their favorite team loses, they're like, oh well, that's a shame, but I'm here to enjoy myself, so gonna enjoy myself either way. So it's kind of that's what I mean when I say it's a cultural difference. Like, crowds in the UK are just there to enjoy themselves and just there to be silly and be part of the product. And when I go to NA LANs, and I want to remind you guys, I've been to 10 NA LANs for Rocket League. It's just mostly a viewing experience, which is fine. So that's that expectation that people are saying NA crowd's supposed to be chanting and stuff. I'm like, nah, they're not going to do that because that's not the culture over there. I don't expect that, but it would be cool because it's really fun to do. It would be cool if they got into it. So yeah, that's not really a fair expectation, and nobody really expects that. At least not that I know. Nito, thanks for 13 months. I appreciate that. No, you're the best. You're the best. Okay, so I'd say that's an unfair expectation, is to expect the NA crowd to do what the London crowd does and start chanting and cheering for every team with unique songs for every player and team. That's not possible. However, one thing that I do think is a totally fair criticism of NA crowds, and this is not just the Texas crowd, but like NA crowds historically. It's a totally fair criticism to ask them to just make more noise when the other team scores. Now, some of you guys seem to think that this is crazy. Some of you guys, when I tell you, golf clap when the other team scores. Look, the team that you want to lose just scored. Just show some appreciation, because without them, there wouldn't even be a match going on right now for you to enjoy. If they didn't come out here, if they didn't fly from another part of the world all the way to where you are and play for your enjoyment, there wouldn't even be a match, there wouldn't even be a tournament. Show some appreciation, for goodness sake, you sad people. Like, just clap. Just golf clap. You don't have to want them to win. You don't have to, cheer your mind out. Just golf clap. And some of you guys are like, no, you'll never catch me dead, like, golf clapping for the other team. You'll never catch me golf clapping for the team that I want to lose. That you guys are ridiculous. You're actually ridiculous. And I know some of you personally. I know that I've met you. I've talked to you about this. I think you're ridiculous. I think you're children. I think you're entitled if you will not golf clap for the team that you want to lose. You're insane. You're actually just, you have no idea how to enjoy yourself if you will not golf clap the other team scoring. Like, I fully believe that. You're actually just all, it's like you want to have a bad time. It's like you want to have a bad time. Like, I look at you, I'm like, you're not enjoying yourself. You're not. You're just like, you're having a bad time, and it's like you want to have a bad time. I don't understand. So that's the one part that I don't get. I totally get the cultural differences. I totally get that, you can't, that we're in a different part of the world. We're going to get a different product at the end of the day. What I don't get, though, is how many of you are desperate to just be sad. So yeah, that for me is the one ask. That's the one ask. Is just, for crying out loud, golf clap. That's all you gotta do, is golf clap. It's not that hard. And I can speak from personal experience of golf clapping many times when, a team that I overall want to see lose, when they actually win, it makes you feel better. It actually makes you feel better. You're like, yeah, I do appreciate that. Yeah, that was a good goal. It did play pretty well, actually. When it's like your body language and the way that you react to something physically often reflects how you feel. But I'm going to blow your mind, guys. You can actually make it work the other way as well. If you start acting a certain way, then you can actually feel a different way about something as well. And if you act as if no, actually, I do appreciate that. Listen, I respect this team. They've come all the way out here to put on a show for us, and I'm going to appreciate them. Then you will, in fact, feel better. It's crazy. It's crazy how the mind works. But now, listen, if you just want to continue, being sad because your team lost, that's up to you. That's entirely up to you. But yeah, I genuinely believe some of you guys are just super entitled, and I don't understand. I don't get it. I think I tweeted the other day, some of you guys have no idea how to have fun or something. That's how it comes across to me. Is that there's a lot of people in the Rocket League community who don't know how to enjoy themselves when their team is losing. Their team loses and they're just depressed for the entire day. They're just depressed. I'm like, listen, you don't have to be depressed. It's just a video game. It's literally just a video game. And there's still other good teams you can enjoy. Like, are you not fans of Rocket League? Above all. I guess some people aren't. I guess there actually are people who are more fans of like one player than they are of Rocket League. Some people never change. But yeah, that's my main observation, is that in the UK, overall, there are less people having a terrible time. There are less people having a terrible time, because even if their favorite team gets eliminated, they're still going to have a good time. They're still going to enjoy themselves. But yeah, another thing I wanted to briefly mention before we move on is that some people say, have you never been to a sports game? This is what happens in sports games. Listen, a lot of stuff happens in sports games that I never want to see happen in Rocket League crowds. I don't think we should look to sports crowds for advice. I don't think we should look to sports crowds for the blueprint on what a Rocket League crowd should be. Like, most sports crowds that I know, most sports crowds where I'm from, are the worst kind of people. I don't want anything to do with them. So I don't want to go down that road at all. And saying that, well, actually, this is just what happens in sports crowds, so get used to it. Actually, no, I'm not happy to just like sit back and wait for Rocket League crowds to become like sports crowds, because that is something I don't ever want to see. And I'm not going to just, sit back idly and wait for that to happen. Like, that's just copium. That's just excuses, saying that actually sports crowds are like this, therefore us doing it's fine. Nah, you should never accept a secondary, like a product that's second best. Sports crowds are worse in many ways, and I think it's our duty as, fans of the esport to try and never become that. We can, however, take inspiration from the one or two good parts. But yeah, definitely not the entire thing. Alright, thoughts on the East getting swept by the West? I expected the first two. I didn't expect TRK to lose to Yan, but you could clearly see Yan was way more confident, so yeah, he deserved the win. BDS greatest team of all time? No. Already talked about that a little bit. Flamus Dank, thanks to Tier 1, and thanks for 100 bits as well. And also Casey and Melinda, thanks to the brand new Prime. I think that's okay. Before I move on, I think it just crossed my mind. People are getting salty at anyone saying if I tell you your average person at London is having a better time than the average person at the World Championship. Some people will hear me say that and they'll think that this is another NA versus EU thing that they need to stand up for their country for, because they don't want to lose. They don't want to take yet another L. But it's not about who's winning and who's losing. The only reason that I or my colleagues try and encourage people to act a certain way when they go to a Rocket League event is because we want you guys to have the best time you can. We want you to have as much fun as you can. And I know for a fact that just going to an event and hoping one team's going to win and then being depressed when they don't is not a good it's not a good way to have a good time at an event. Rocket League's way too unpredictable to be a sport like that. Some sports, you know who's going to win before the race even starts. You know who's going to win before the match even starts. Rocket League's not one of them. You can't just go and fanboy the favorite and come home happy. Most of the time you're going to lose and you're just going to be sad. So I'm trying to tell people, this is how you enjoy this game. As someone who is a fan of many teams and has to watch many teams that I want to see win, lose, and then still have a good time, this is how you do it. It's not a competition. We're actually trying to help you. We're actually trying to help you, and your inferior sporting culture, learn from the best. Okay, there's your clip, and now people can get upset again. Do you think G2 players will ever be able to recover from losing another final? I think yeah. Thoughts on Slater becoming a free agent? Finding out about a player's decision mid-world. So I saw in his recent YouTube video that he actually didn't hear about it before playing. He found about it after he's eliminated. Obviously still sucks, but I don't know all the details, so I can't really comment any more than that. Who threw in shuffleboard? I played shuffleboard many times. I thought overall my level was pretty good. I was pretty happy with how I played. But Gregan and Jamesbot are absolutely terrible. I'd say Gregan and Jamesbot through. The Aussies and LCT managed to beat us consistently, and I take no blame. I take part of the blame because you know, I was part of the team and I didn't play perfectly. But listen, guys, I was getting completely destroyed. If you just type one in chat if you know what the game shuffleboard. If you don't, I'll give you a small summary. So there's a long slidey table, and you've got to slide a puck as close to the end of the table as you can without it falling off the sides and without it falling off the end. Now, we were playing at 4v4. Both teams have 4 pucks each, so you all throw 1 puck. And I, since I was the most experienced player on my team, said, guys, I'll go last, because last throw has the most control over what happens. Small format curling, exactly. So yeah, at the end of 2 of the rounds, we lost like 4 times in a row to the OCE boys, CJ, Kami, and LCT. I can't remember who the 4th player was. Like, end of 2 of the rounds, none of my team had accumulated any points. And then I managed to curl in a 5, and I'm thinking, that's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. Curled in a 5 twice on a, not even an empty board. Around like a 4, around a 3 for the other team. What happened both times? One of the times CJ just lobs one, and he hit mine perfectly and his stayed on. I'm baffled. And then we go again, and I got another 5, and Kami just lobs one at it, and he knocks it off as well, and his one stays on the table. Like, to knock someone else's puck off the edge and have yours stay on is so lucky. It happened to me twice. So I did everything I could, got a couple of 5s as well as a last throw, and got them both knocked off. So it just wasn't meant to be. But yeah, Gregan and Jamesbot need some practice. They need some practice at shuffleboard. Right, what do you think of the amount of sweeps that have been happening? Yeah, I think best of 7's too long. Once you go down like 2-0, it's so hard to imagine winning a best of 7. It's just the finish line seems so far away. You've got to win 4 out of the next 6. It's tough. Yeah, you got to take the inspiration from shuffleboard's cards. I've been watching. We watched a bunch of darts videos actually while we're at Worlds. Have you guys ever watched competitive darts? Type 1 in chat if you've watched competitive darts. For me, that's one of the crowds that we should absolutely try and emulate. They're just like, it's a big number, let's go! They're just absolutely loving it if it's a big number. Or if somebody like gets a 9 darter, 10 darter, they're just there for it. It doesn't really matter who did it. They're just loving it. So yeah, that's what I'm about. Like, Rocket League fans, if they're just there for good goals rather than just watching their favorite team win, they're gonna have a better time. The viewers online are gonna have a better time. Everybody's gonna have a better time. So that's what I'm trying to like encourage people to do. And the first step is golf clapping. Some of you guys are, some people in the Rocket League community are so unbelievable. They're so stubborn and so set in their depressed ways. Do you think Friday Night Duels should happen? I'd love to. I talked about that a bit earlier. Every world so far has had one standout goal over 0 squishy. Justin, which goal would I pick for this tournament? That's a good question. I don't think there was like an iconic goal like that from this one. Nah, it'll probably be the 2-second remaining Yan goal, I'd say. Oh yeah, all chat saying Yan as well. Yeah, it's got to be the Yan goal. 2-second remaining Yan goal. That's pure pandemonium. Like, that was one moment where I think what I'm saying really does like prove to be true. Like, it's a European team playing against a South American team, so there's no crowd favorite. Like, every match where NA is playing someone, there's a crowd favorite. But since there was no crowd favorite, it was EU versus Sam, and the Rocket League was just really good. The crowd lost their minds. That's what we want. We want that for every series. You can lose your mind like that in every series if you're just there for good Rocket League. Right, compared to how other worlds went, how would I rate this one? Stuff like security, food, venue. I don't know anything about security because we were in the back door. Food, can't comment because we just ate the catering backstage. Venue was really cool. Really new, really large venue. I liked it. Very clean. Merch, no idea. And event itself, I mean, I think the event was sick. It was, yeah, one of the best events I've ever been to. It's the first Worlds event that I've casted at. I did interviews at Madrid. But yeah, this was really a fun experience for me. It's hard to compare to other ones because I've never casted at a Worlds before. I've only been there as a fan or interviewer. So I don't really know how to compare the two. But for this season, it was definitely my, yeah, it was like the second best LAN for me. You just can't beat London. It's not fair to compare. So London wins. London 2 and London 1 were just the best events in Rocket League history for me. But this one was like definitely next. It was like the tier below. It was definitely like up there. Yeah, you just can't beat London. The vibes in London are just different. Just absolutely electric 24/7. If Scotland concede against England, don't act like you and your family are going to golf clap for England scoring. Listen, I'll tell you first, you don't assume what I'll do. But if somebody scores a bicycle kick against Scotland, I'll say fair play. That's a good goal. Fair play. That's a good goal. So don't you come and tell me what I'll do, because I've been there, done that many, many times. I've golf clapped many times against my favorite team. I don't need to be told what I will and won't do. But secondly, I don't think football crowds are to be copied anyway. Now, if somebody scores a worldie, like, it doesn't matter who it is. Even if it's England against Scotland, I'll be like, fair play. That's a pretty good goal. Fair play. All right. Evo's about to hit 3,000 ranked 2s games. That's pretty insane. Think it's a better approach to grinding. Would you benefit more from free play 6-mans? Just whatever you enjoy. I mean, at the end of the day, grinding the game, you've just got to get hours in that you enjoy and that you don't get completely bored of, because burnout is one of the biggest things that ends a career or attacks motivation. So yeah, just whatever you enjoy. But also, it's not even a fair comparison, because there's no like Rocket League team on the planet as despicable, as horrendous, and as universally hated as England's international football team. Like, that's just not a comparison that I'm gonna allow to fly by. Like, come on, come up with a realistic comparison. What teams do you think look the best during Worlds? Personally, for you, is BDS, K-Corp, G2. If I was to power rank the Worlds teams, it would be the top 10 would be BDS, Furia, K-Corp, Moist, G2, FaZe, V1, Falcons, Space Station, The Club. I feel like I've forgotten someone. I've definitely forgotten someone. Did I say? I've not said Dignitas. How many teams have I even said? Dignitas. And then maybe NRG. So who's really typing the Club 3 question marks? Are you joking? So wait, to recap: BDS, Furia, Carmine Corp, Moist, G2, FaZe, V1, Falcons, Space Station, The Club, Dignitas, NRG. That's your top 12. That's your top 12 for Worlds. KC too high? I would disagree. I would very much disagree. K-Corp over Moist, because they nearly beat BDS. That's why. Right, do I think Fury would have beaten G2? Not the crushing fashion, but yeah, I would have picked Fury over G2. I would pick anybody from that side of the bracket over anyone from the NA side of the bracket. Oh, power rank top 8 teams. Well, okay, I did that right now. Caster's saying BDS have usurped Dignitas. I disagree. People always going about how they made the other team look bad. Do you think the reverse is true? I think in G2's case, yeah, they didn't play up to their best in the grand final, but BDS did make them look worse in certain cases, where they were just beating them to the ball, and then a G2 player's floating past the ball looking like a clown. Like, it's not their fault. They just got beaten to the ball. Already talked about this. Should Worlds ever be hosted at NA again? Yes, obviously. Playoffs are played on 2 different days. I think the results would have been different. Probably not. Would have been the same. Khabib or Oliveira, lightweight go. Obviously Khabib. Favorite Worlds moment? Jan's goal. Favorite Dave song? Depends on the mood, I guess. Because Dave's got some very like meaningful, deep songs. Like his, Black performance live at the Brits was really amazing. But if you just want a vibe, then you gotta get location on the playlist. Hey, somebody wants best of 5, but they also want double elim. But, oh my goodness, best of 5 sets. No! No, what are you talking about? Is this guy, JLF says, I believe the format would be way better for players, spectators, if it was double elim best of 5 sets. Snorefest. I've already talked about format enough. 7 matches in one day was too much. I disagree. I think maybe just needed best of 5s in the quarters. Really enjoyed 4 matches a day. Yeah, that was perfect for the early days, but I don't really mind the big last day. I think the big last day was fine. Probably just should have started 1 hour earlier in the morning, and then made the quarters best of 5s, and it would have been fine. Really nice of Extra to give a shout out to Mark at the end. Yeah, that's really cool. I think 7 matches was fine. It's just like wrong time zone, didn't start 1 hour earlier, and best of 7's overdone. Nebraska Land, thanks to the 4-month tier 1, welcome back to the channel. Also Flamos Judenk, welcome to the channel as well. So a lot of people talking about best of set. Do you think G2 had a higher possibility of winning? No, I think they would have just lost another series. If it was best of set, G2 would have just lost the second series as well. Yeah, I don't see G2 winning. They looked way off the pace. Favorite clip moment of Friday Night Duels, the Yan save with closing seconds against TRK. How do you make steamed broccoli taste good? I have no clue, bro. Probably butter. Would you like Worlds in Paris? I would. I can actually speak to this. So there's been a lot of chat about Worlds in Paris. Now I was actually like doing a little bit of venue hunting for a potential, like, I'm always on the hunt for salt mine events. And I've spoken many times openly about the fact I'd love to do a salt mine LAN. I'd love to do 1v1 on LAN, and I did do a little bit of scouting for Paris as a venue, but there was one roadblock that we encountered that I didn't know about, and I don't know if it's a Paris thing or a France thing, but they told us that we were gonna have prize pool problems because the French government takes prize money, like a percentage of prize money, before it gets paid out. So if you win money, and I can't remember what the age range was, I think it was like if you're 15, 16 or something, and you win money, the French government takes a portion of it, and then you get paid, and then you pay your tax on it in your own country as well. So I don't really understand, why they do that, but yeah, that's just one of the laws that we encountered while we were, venue hunting for a salt mine 1v1 LAN. So yeah, it's pretty tricky. It's tricky to do Paris events. Now I don't know if that's the same for RLCS. I have no idea if there's plans to do an RLCS LAN in Paris soon or in the future. I'm sure they're considering it. Let me just say, I'm positive that it's being considered. It's Paris, it's France, a massive region for Rocket League. But I tried to do an event in Paris and we couldn't do it because of this prize pool problem. Yeah, it's tricky. It's not always as easy as you think. Because if I say, hey guys, what do you think about our 1v1 LAN in Paris? You guys are going to be like, great, sounds like a fantastic idea. Why haven't you done it already? And I'll say, well, yeah, prize money's getting taken away. Host an illegal event. Yeah, that's of course another option. But yeah, there's always like a lot of things to consider with events. It's not just like the way that the community sees events is who deserves an event, where would it be cool to do an event, let's do an event there. That's it. That's the flow chart. It's like who deserves an event? France. Would it be cool to do an event there? Yes. Okay, let's do it. Why hasn't it happened already? But actually from my own personal experience, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to run LANs. I'd love to. I'm going to keep trying. BuzzLax here, thanks for 42 months, actually 49 months tier 1, and also Findor, thanks for the brand new Prime. Welcome to the channel. Do you like a sign? Did for JNAPS? Guaranteed end. Why? Oh, guaranteed second. I can't read. Guaranteed second. Wait, that's actually pretty funny, and it's signed by Extra, Vatira, and Seiko, no Monkey Man. I can't read. I thought that said end, but it's a 2. That is pretty funny, actually. Well done. Well done. I'm slow. Yeah, I didn't realize that that was actually the G2 logo broken apart. I didn't realize that. But also, yeah, end made sense. That's pretty funny though. You need to get Monkey Moon to sign this. How much big full tank boost does an average pro gobble up per match? You can find that out on ballchasing.com. What I think about Dignitas and their changes, if you haven't seen, check Shift Suite. No idea. Anyone want any update on? Anyone gonna update me in chat? I'm not gonna look at Shift right now. Don't actually know what my daily intake of copium is. I don't really keep track. I don't copium count. Jory is and Archie teaming. That's really good. They can both not play the game together. They can both just have 0 hours. Seems like a perfect idea. When every other team's practicing Rocket League and scrimming, they can just do literally anything else and not have animosity towards each other. Do you agree with the format that was used? Yes. How would you change it? More best of 5s. Your take, and also Swiss for the top 16. Taking opinions of the SSG debacle. Probably could have been handled better. Don't really know all the details. Moist vs Furia, greatest series ever on LAN. I think it might be, actually. I think it might be. Mr. Pigger, thanks to the brand new Prime. Welcome to the channel. Any teams that want to take Rels? I have no clue. Moist Furia, biggest upset of all time? Oh, definitely not. No, it wasn't the biggest upset. I mean, Furia is really, really good. That's like an upset, but it's not a big upset. Far from the biggest. I mean, we just went to an event where the Pioneers in Secret swept BDS. Like, just the last month. Friday Night Duels should have been a single best of 5. It was time constraints. I thought that what they chose to do was really cool. Monkey Moon's on Worlds. Will his new role in the team affect him on long term, playing third man more often? I don't know. Not really sure what that means or what that refers to. I think Monkey Moon's very adaptable, so you'll be fine. To the top 10 Worlds players, we're going to do something. Which Rocket League series is the GOAT? Highest mechanical skill, most entertaining. It's got to be, yeah, Furia Moist. Rather Kiss Cole or Stumpy? Why not both? Think Falcons will win all the regionals next season? No, I don't. I think that was a ridiculous achievement that will never be repeated by anyone ever again. Best looking Rocket League player of all time? That's a good question. I don't know. All time is tough. Do you think NRG should make a roster change? Yes. I already talked about this. Do you think Rocket League skill ceiling is close to being reached? No. Do you think NRG will make... Yeah, more energy, roster changes. Rogue first skiller, greater than phase first skiller, agreed. Well, no, but he's definitely progressed since then. He had to do more heavy lifting on Rogue, but he's still really good for phase. As a fan in the arena, the final day was great, but long. I think I sapped the energy from the crowd. What do you think that could have been done different? So I read online, I don't know if this is true, so I read somewhere that people couldn't leave the last day. Is that true? Once you're in the venue, you can't leave and then come back in again. Is that true? Somebody wrote that. It's true? Well, yeah, obviously that sucks. So I don't know if that's been common. I'm pretty sure you could leave London. Type 1 in chat if you were at the London major and you were allowed to leave the venue then come back in again. So I'm pretty sure you're allowed. Yeah, you could in London. You could leave and re-enter NA. Yeah, LA. So, was it just the Texas one? You could get re-entry Friday, Saturday, just not Sunday. Oh. Yeah, that obviously sucks, in my opinion. That could have helped. Just, just being able to leave, walk around, and then come back would be cool. So yeah, that's obviously tough. But yeah, I already talked about like shortening the format a little bit, make it best of 5 quarters. Start 1 hour earlier in the day. What do you think went wrong for Falcons? I talked about this a bit earlier, but yeah, I think they just weren't confident. Do you wish take back your negative tweets about crowd after you realize how hurtful that was to the esports team who worked there? I don't know if the esports team had any reaction at all. I've not talked to them. I'd be very surprised if they were hurt by a tweet about a 7-second video of the crowd leaving. But would I take back my negative tweets? No, I would not. I'll retweet it. There we go. Double in time. Is an Australian land a good idea? I'd love it. Probably very expensive, but I would absolutely love it. I really want it. I get along phenomenally well with all of the Australian players, casters, people in general. They're just phenomenal people. So I would love a land in Australia so I can meet more of those type of people. It would cost a fortune though. I would love it though. I'm absolutely all for it. Sam Mena final at Worlds. Who knows? Could be next year. Could be the year after. It's tough to guess. Could have been this one. Could have been London. They were good enough. We say people who claim Rocket League is dying. Who claims Rocket League is dying? Is it some content creators who've run out of ideas? Probably. How long do you think it will be before Flakes makes a comeback? Teams with turbo and speed. They will all move to Australia and dominate OCE. I think if they all move to Australia, OCE, they'll lose. OCE is not free, guys. Come on. Matter of time of Mena Sam. Question is, wait, two questions. I think it's just a matter of time to Mena Sam teams get championship. Yep. When? A lot of people asking this. I'm not sure. But yeah, could be next year, could be the year after, could be never. With the season coming to an end, lots of new faces. Moist Boys 2/3 Liquid took over the top of European RLCS. Do you think that there will be more newcomers? Yes, there will be. There will always be more newcomers in Europe than America. I believe the reason for this is because of the Spanish community, English community, and French community, German community. All of the sub-communities in Europe help new talent from their own languages come up to the top. Whereas in America, it's a lot more like the cool boys club. And to get in, you need to be vouched by someone who's already in there. And since they're your direct competitors, they don't really vouch for many people. So a lot of like young talent is stuck on the outside looking in because they're not part of the NRG, Scrim Commandments Cool Boys Club. Best series of all time world? Yeah, the Moist Furia. With the team reaching 3 wins, first winning the series well over 90%. It was closer to like 99%. It was like 98%, I think. Feel as if having best of 5, much more efficient way to play these tournaments. Can we get a round of applause for Eric E? Absolute genius. Absolute genius. What a W take. I love that. Love that idea. Phenomenal. What land was the best venue in the surrounding area this year? Was it Fort Worth because of a large venue, London because of the legendary crowd, or LA because of all the other attractions and fun stuff to do around the city? There were attractions and fun things to do around the city? Really? If they were nowhere near the venue. LA's really bad for like doing anything else because it's just like everything's so far apart and there's no public transport, so you just have to sit in Ubers. It's hard to like go somewhere with a big group, so LA was terrible for that. We didn't do any big group activities at all. London was the best for big group activities because we all just jump on the tube and go somewhere. And London venue also had the best, like the most electric atmosphere, so it's hard to beat. I mean, London, the Copper Box is literally, it is the home of Rocket League. Like it's the home of the RLCS. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. So Fort Worth was never going to win, but Fort Worth is really cool as a city because you could actually walk around a little bit. There is, some cool bars and restaurants in the area near the hotel. So that was cool to go see. The venue was awesome. It was really new and large, but I think it did struggle to... it was just a lot more spread out as well than London. London was electric like Zapdos, exactly. Given you just said the best RL tournament ever, what are you the most excited about? Hey, listen, I don't want to see this. I've said London was better, but like that's only if you take everything into account. Like the World Championship was still the best in many ways. It was the most international event we've ever had. It was the most days of an event we've ever had. It was the biggest I think undertaken by the content team ever. So there were many like parts of this event that were the best ever. It's just as a package, it's never going to beat London, in my opinion. But yeah, it was still sick. It was awesome. Don't get me wrong. I've got to keep saying this because people are going to take it out of context. LA has a subway and cheap buses that run 24/7. Nah, you cannot tell me that LA has good public transport. Don't even try. Don't waste our time. LA is a nightmare to get around. I've been there four times. It's terrible. Do you think Seiko this season was the best rookie season ever? Yeah, hard to argue because he, had massive success with the 2 different teams he played on. One Worlds, one a major. Oh no, he didn't win a major actually, because that was before he joined. But yeah, he's still like won 4 regionals? Yeah, 4 regionals and Worlds. Yeah, hard to argue with that. But yeah, the seasons are longer now, so of course he's got twice the time to do what Justin did in 3-4 months. Favorite players in the pro scene, like personalities, like a lot in Greasy? Well, CJ, but he just retired, so never mind. I think Arsenal's really funny. He's a really good personality to have in the scene. Rettles as well. I didn't deliberately pick those 2 to start any drama discussion. I just think that they're 2 of the best personalities in the scene. I think they're very, they're very entertaining. Let's see. Let me go through the teams. Who's good? Garrett G, of course. Legend. All the Moist guys. Really, really confident and hilarious. Let's see. We've got Com. He's really come into his own. Apparently Jack. Always willing to hop on desk even if he loses. Who else deserves a shout? Nolly. Nolly's back with the trash talk these days. That's good to see. Realize kills it in every interview and content PC ever does. But yeah, everyone's awesome. But I don't want to name them all because I might as well name no one. How could the RL esports team make a format work and not wind down to a 10-hour day 3? Well, yeah, I talked about this a little bit. But I think it was pretty close to being fine. But yeah, to summarize what changes I would have made: start the day 1 hour earlier, maybe like shorten the pre-show to allow the show to start even earlier again, and yeah, best of 5s until semis. Which 3 teams was I most excited about to watch during the RLCS Worlds tournament? Falcons, Furia, and the club, because NA and EU suck. Who's the best player in the world right now? Now that the event is over, I'm going to say Yan is the best player in the world, because he was in my top 3 before World started, and I think he's overtaken the other 2. I think Yan is the best player in the world, because my top 3 going in was TRK, Vatira, Yan. Very close top 3, and Card and Kaio both had a great LAN, but Yan's consistency and his level that he's able to maintain is just crazy to witness. So I'm going to say Yan, but Monkey Moon and Seiko are definitely like back up there. I don't think, you can't say Monkey Moon or Seiko is the best in the world for me, because their London was just so poor. Like, Worlds does not cancel out London. It doesn't make London irrelevant. London's still relevant. If we did another major next month, BDS could just suck again. They've not proved that they're consistent. They've proved that if they get it all together on one day or one weekend, they can make a championship winning run, and they're a phenomenal team, unbelievable team. Like, we all know that. But can they do that consistently? Remains to be seen. If they just have a bad start, if they just lose game 1 to, like, I don't know, the club or something, like at the next major, maybe they just all fall apart, lose confidence, and they have more of a London run. I wouldn't predict it after seeing how good they were at Worlds coming back against Furia, but yeah, you can't just completely ignore London. I don't think you can completely ignore it. Yan being so close to number 1, and Monkey Moon I think being further down, maybe like bottom end of top 10 after London, means that Monkey Moon's like shot right back up there. He's probably like number 2 right now, I'd say. 2 or 3. I'd say Monkey Moon is probably number 2 or 3 right now, and yeah, Yan's number 1 for me. Miguel IC7, thanks for 22-month Prime. Welcome back to the channel. How to fix Dig? Disband. Could you do us straight up top 30 best players? Oh, no, well, obviously not right now, but yeah, we're definitely going to do something like that. What do you think about having extra modes? I think it's better having like competitive 1s, competitive 2s, and stuff like that than extra modes, because they're much bigger playlists and have much more history to them. You do, yeah, top 30 rank. Another question about that. Where do I see APAC in a year? Probably around about the same place. I mean, tectonic plates don't move that quickly, so I can't imagine countries like Japan are gonna be in a very different location. No, I'm just kidding. I know what you mean. I think they're gonna be closer, but still big underdogs against everyone. Because the region that they're closest to is OCE. And I think there's still like improvement from OCE in that regard as well. So even though APAC will improve, I think OCE's can improve as well. So I think they'll still be, in a year, I think they're still going to be underdog against everyone except SSA. Technologi, thanks to 100 bits. How did BDS win 4 games against Furia? They were really, really consistent, and Furia made some key mistakes. Furia definitely had what it took to win that series, but they made mistakes and BDS didn't. Most important takeaways from Worlds this year? Most important takeaways? Ones on LAN is really, really hype. Wildcard was a huge success. It's the first time that there's been a wildcard for Worlds. I think it was a massive success. First time 1v1 is integrated as a like show match piece. I think it was a massive success as well. Not sure what other like big undertakings and big differences there were. But yeah, wildcard and ones were really cool integrations. What has happened by what has happened this Worlds? What team in the first week would you expect to do the best, gain the most experience for the next championships? In the first week? You mean in like the wildcard bit? I mean, the teams who have gained the most experience are SSA and APAC, because they're like the third, they've got the most to learn. So probably them. OCE top 8 next season? I'd say probably no, because Sam, Mena, OCE, NA and EU look ridiculously stacked, but it's possible. It's possible. It's going to be really tough though. Like the fact that Mena and Sam keep improving, and NA and EU are already so good and so have such a deep talent pool makes it tough to see a top 8. Top 12, yes. Top 8, that's really hard. How do you think players who would have played out if Furia didn't score that insane last second goal? Moist have to face BDS. I think BDS would still have won. Team that surprised me the most? Semper. NRG. Do you think NRG did better than anyone anticipated? If you look at Moist making top 8, they beat SSG, in which Arsenal was not 100%. They beat Semper. NRG beat Renegades, who look the best of themselves. Oh, come on. Come on. Are you telling me that the best that CJ can do is side flip on Wasteland, giving NRG a free win? That is outright disrespect. I've seen CJ play entire best of 7s before without side flipping once. Come on. And a 6 Semper. Both runs are the same. We can't call it a Mickey run. No. You can. Moist took Furia all the way down to the wire in Game 7. NRG didn't have a shot against G2. Saying NRG and Moist, is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to equate NRG to Moist. Are you out of your mind? NRG x Justin fanboy. Okay, I guess you're not out of your mind. That explains it quite well. No, I think NRG were the 12th best team at Worlds. They, like I said at the start of the final day, I've seen nothing from them, and I saw nothing from them that would indicate that they're a contender in any way, shape, or form. And I didn't think they had any chance against G2, and they lost. I think Space Station, Falcons, and the club, who didn't make top 8, would have all had a better chance against G2 than NRG did. Dignitas as well. I think Dignitas had a better chance against G2 than NRG also. Just because they had that one pop-off against SSG. They got it all together. Dignitas are massively inconsistent, but they did have some pretty good highs in there. NRG were just consistently like not at the right. They weren't there. They weren't at the level. Justin looked like he was there, but as a team, nah. They were never good enough at this event. Do you think nerves play a big part of the event? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You think Jack and AJ have it in their blood? That's nah. That's not how it works. It's like some players just get it immediately. Some players have to learn how to get it. It's not like you don't flip reset as soon as you come out of the womb. You have to learn how to do that. You have to like learn how to flip reset. Just like some players have to learn how to like be calm under pressure. Some players, mechanics come faster to them. Some players, mentality comes faster. It's just like anything else. You can learn it. You think format for the playoffs is the right choice? Best of 5 quarters, and yeah, perfect. Why do you think Falcons lost aside for not being able to preserve their energy at LAN? I don't know if energy was a thing. I've not talked to them about that. I know they were nervous and they weren't feeling confident because they're I think their practice hadn't been going as well as London. But they also played against a FaZe who were playing really well, and KC who were playing really well. So, yeah, group of death. It was going to get someone. Like, we had Falcons, FaZe, G2, Furia, and Carmine Corp, all 5 in one group, and the club, and Dignitas, all in one group, and only 4 of those teams can make playoffs. Like, that is stacked beyond belief. Like, actually stacked. I think 7 of the top 12 teams at LAN were all in group B, so it was definitely going to be tricky. Dignitas is terrible. No, they're sometimes terrible, sometimes amazing. Like, if my honest opinion on the Dignitas roster is that they are, when they get it together, when they get it all, like their full plan to work, they're incredible. But when they don't, they're awful. They're very polarizing team. They played phenomenally against SSG. Absolutely ruled SSG, and SSG were not play. Arsenal didn't have a good day that day because of his sickness, but Dignitas really looked very good. Are Vatira, TRK, Yan still top 3? Nah, I think right now it's got to be Yan. Probably like. Oof, this is tough. Who's top 3, guys? I guess it's Yan, Vatira, and Monkey Moon are top 3 right now, I would say. What do you guys think? Because I don't know if Vatira... I think Vatira played pretty well. I'd probably leave Vatira in the top 3 for now, but just hanging on. He's got Seiko behind him. You know, TRK is probably falling out of top 3, but not by much. He's still TRK. So yeah, I'd say Yan, then Monkey Moon, Vatira. Probably Monkey Moon 2, Vatira 3. I'll say Yan, Monkey Moon, Vatira. That's my top 3 right now. But yeah, Card played really well. He's rocketed up the rankings. Speedrunning for workshop maps as halftime show one day. It's possible, but I really feel like stuff like this and the air show and all that other stuff that's been suggested, they're more like during the break content, not a halftime show. I feel like a halftime show should be like ones, or the freestyle thing that has worked many times. What team or player do you think is going to attend next year and do the best? There's a good answer here from Huss, is Roas, Kalirs, Naipo. Yeah, that's probably the... This is the team who didn't play at Worlds. Them and Team Liquid. Like, Roas, Kalirs, Naipo and Team Liquid are the players... The best players not at Worlds, shall we say. How about a tweet about Smad? I'm not going to tweet about Smad right now, man. NA's in the bin. We don't want to rub it. Any salt in the wound. Someone in Mexico. I think a major in Mexico. I feel like there's other places with bigger Rocket League fan bases. I know there's fan bases for Rocket League all around the world, but you know, not having had a RLCS LAN in countries that are bigger, have bigger Rocket League populations, probably mean Mexico's a little bit down the list. But yeah, I'd love to go like global. Got to see everywhere eventually, you know. But yeah, I tweeted a bit ago about places that need Rocket League LANs. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. Oh, when did I tweet it? Of course, I've been spamming tweets for Worlds because impressions are so free. But I think before that I tweeted like a Rocket League LAN tweet. I'll show it to you guys in case you don't have Twitter. Here it is. So, as we all know, the main consideration when planning Rocket League LANs is how well the word LAN can be integrated to the location name. So, we've got Flance, Germany, Glasgow, Illinois, Japan, Lanada, Land Down Under, Milan, Sao Paulo, and Saudi Arabia. These are my top 10 suggestions. That's my top 10 suggestions. But yeah, there's a lot more. Sam no longer considered a minor region. I've not really liked calling Sam, Mena, OCE, anyone minor regions for a bit now. Are you going to win RLCS 2024? Probably not, but good luck to you. Any RLCS hot takes? I've said plenty this stream. I think I'll probably just leave it at that. I've said plenty. What can be changed for Championship Sunday to not be as long? I talked about that already. If all matches this World Championship was best of 1, who will be the champions? That's a great question. Let's figure it out. So, we're not going to do Swiss because that's ridiculous. Moist, SSG. Okay, Moist would have won. Endpoint would have beaten Semper, but then Moist won game 1 here. BDS beat Renegades, and then they did... Okay, so this would have been the same, Moist and BDS. Now, V1, yeah, they would have been here, they would have been here, and they would have been the same. NRG obviously would have lost. They did take game 1 against Renegades. Semper would have gone through instead of NRG. Oh, the screen's cut off. Okay, well, just trust me. I'm not going to But this would have stayed the same. Moist, BDS, V1. Then Semper would have gone through instead of NRG. G2 obviously 4-0. That's the same. KC go through against Furia. So KC are here. Furia are here. And they would have lost to Optic. Furia's out. And then Optic would have gone through. Optic is versus here. Optic would have gone through. Optic are... whatever you see Carmine Corp is actually Optic. And NRG is Semper. Furia, this is Carmine... Furia become Carmine Corp. And they would have won. So Carmine Corp are gonna... Carmine Corp are now Furia. No, rather, Furia are now Carmine Corp. Carmine Corp are Optic. And the club would have been through here. This would be the club. FaZe would have been knocked down. They would have beaten Dig, but then lost to KC. Oh, Semper is Endpoint, actually. No, I think you're right. Endpoint, Semper... Hold on. So it's Endpoint. Yeah, you're right. Endpoint would have made it through. So the new bracket would have been Moist versus KC, and Moist would have won it. So Moist would be in the semi. I know you guys can't see this, but just take my word for it. BDS versus the club, and the club would have won it. So semi-final number 1 would be Moist versus the club. Instead of BDS Furia, it would be Moist the club. And then G2 would have still been G2. And... oh no, FaZe became the club. My mistake. FaZe became the club. They would have lost to G2 anyway. G2 luckily won all of their game 1, so they would still have made the final. But Moist would have made the final against G2, I believe. Yeah. And then Moist would have won. So if everything was best of 1, Moist would have won it, because they won game 1 against SSG. They won 4-0 in their next series. They won game 1 in their first. They won the semi. Yeah, Moist would have won, guys. Moist would have won. TLDR, Moist would have won if it was all best of 1s. Alright. Was there a proposal to make 1s best of 5s or 3? It was time constraints. That's why I suggested what we ended up doing. Thoughts on finals being just a best of 7? Love it. Best of set's boring. You think judging teams based on 1 LAN performance is right to do? I predicted BDS to do badly because of 1 LAN performance, despite the talent in the team. I mean, it's just a range. I think that, like, with predictions, there's a range of what is acceptable to predict, and because BDS did so terribly at London, but so well online, the range of where you put BDS is quite large. Like, you can make a case for them being the best team and winning, or you can make a case for them not even making top 8. I think that's the range for BDS. And going into the event, BDS were in my list of teams that could win. They were a contender for me. But I predicted that they would lose. Like, actually, BDS ended up being in the group of life. But before, when I did my predictions, they were in the group of death. And I had them losing in the group of death. Now, if I knew BDS were going to be the group of life, I definitely would have put them top 8. Because I thought they were good enough to make it out of the group of life. But the groups changed since I did my predictions, which had me having BDS a bit lower than I would have. Alright, do you think Team Liquid roster could become the next Moist Queso? Yeah, I think there's potential. Need to see more from them. Masabma, thanks for the brand new Prime. Did Dickie sell out open seats? I think the reason there's open seats is because some people couldn't go, and then other people also, you know, bought a ticket for like the weekend and then only went 2 days out of the 3 and so on. But also, the way that Dickie sold tickets is they sold individual seats instead of like section seats. So there's a lot of like empty seats everywhere because people were sitting in their designated seat, as opposed to London, which sold seats in sections. So if you had like a section, everybody would kind of group together, then there would be a couple of empty pockets here and there, which is probably a better way to do it. Why is Sam leapfrogged OCE in terms of results? Bigger region, bigger population, and proximity to US East server. They get to farm free points in US East. Why do Falcons only seem to be able to win when ahead? Is it a mental thing? It's probably a contributor, yeah, but they've come from behind before. At London, they iced it up in multiple Game 7s. They came back to, what, 2-2 against Carmine Corp. A very good series. Real's getting kicked. Don't know the details. Think Dignitas will still perform. Not with that roster. What are some player moves you could change the landscape of things? I don't know. What would be the biggest... If you could make one roster change that would just mess up the scene as much as possible, what would it be? You'd have to do a cross-regional transfer. Like... maybe... Let's take Monkey Moon and we'll switch him with... Let's switch Monkey Moon with... Let's switch Monkey Moon and... it's tough. I guess Squishy. That would probably mess up the scene the most. How do I describe Falcons' disappointing performance? I mean, they played in a double elimination group and they got eliminated. Same stage as the club and SSG. It's a pretty brutal format. I don't think they played that badly actually. Where versus FaZe, they lost 2-1-0 overtimes and then they made a bad, I think, adjustment for Game 3, which spiraled the series out of control, but it was actually closer than a sweep would suggest. And Carmine Corp series was phenomenal. I thought Carmine Corp were unbelievable. So I wouldn't say it was too disappointing if you actually look at what happened. If you look at the bracket, it's disappointing, but if you look at the matchups, the gameplay, not so much. Yeah, they'll know what they got to do differently. Commutator to moist, of course. I don't know what this refers to. Why is Team Titan not colored? Not sure. Will Friday Night Duels be expanded? I hope so. I'd love to see it. We see casters from other regions. It would be great to see that. But I don't know. I don't make those decisions. Is it rule 1 or rule 2? Well, rule 1 is when you keep the ball up in 0 seconds. If you think rule 1 is a headlock, then you're a zoomer. Which teams and players are you looking forward to seeing the most? Yeah, Team Liquid, Ruas, now Pokeliers. Want to see more of the club. Listen, you're all zoomers. Oh yeah, Zen, of course, when he's unbanned. IDC Falcons next season, I think they're going to bounce back. What was the best line of all time? London 2.0, followed by London 1.0. What happened to all the Mena teams? Well, Veloce weren't practicing. I think they were pretty much disbanded before they got visas unexpectedly and had to do Worlds. Omen Esports are an interesting team because when things go okay for them, they're actually very solid. They're just a, gatekeeper kind of solid team, but they're super nervous. So as soon as things start to go badly, it spirals out of control. As for Falcons, I mean, they had one really good event, one bad event, so we have to see more from them on LAN, but I think they've shown that they're a contender. Any LAN they go to, they're a contender. Turbo, I have no idea where they'll be. Best moment, Jan's goal. What do you think about the space station situation? Kind of cringe. How do you fix scheduling format? I talked about that already. How much do you think luck played a factor in this event? Reran the event 10 times, same teams. How many winners would you get? I think there were many contenders for this event. I think all the top 8 except NRG were contenders. I think Falcons were contenders. I think Space Station were contenders. Honestly, I think the club were contenders. I think that's my top 10 teams for being contenders. And then you got Dignitas and NRG, Dignitas super inconsistent, and NRG consistently, not quite good enough. They're the next in line. Why did my face get shown? I was mostly doing casting, which we don't really go on camera much, but you would have heard my voice. Time for Scrub to go. I don't know. Last Worlds stacked to too many matches. It wasn't the last of Worlds stacked with too many matches for casters, fans, the arena view. A lot of people are saying this. I don't really think it was that couldn't make adjustments after time and think Falcons needed a coach. Play design. I don't know if they need a coach. Like this is like every time a team loses, they're like they need a coach. When I don't think that's the solution. Like, didn't Moist had a coach or Queso? What was the situation that they made public? So when they were Team Queso in the fall split, they had a coach, and they basically told him stop coaching us because it's not working. So for the winter split, they didn't have a coach and they did way better. And then they got rid of their coach / not a coach entirely. Brought on like their current guy, Noah, who I think is mostly like a mental guy. I don't think he does gameplay coaching, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just like trying to remember what I read or heard. But yeah, a lot of very successful teams have, done what they do with no gameplay coach. It's not like the fix-all. Teams have sometimes teams just have a bad event. But with Falcons having such a good London, I'm not worried about them at all. No, I don't think they should be like, oh no, we had one bad event, let's see our coach. Nah, you don't just want to get randomly any coach to see if it works. You should only get a coach if you think this person can really add something to our team and bring us better results. Moist beat BDS? No. Biggest prize? Semper. SSG does SSG stay together and not kick rails if they hold on for 9 seconds in the Spring Major? They might actually. I don't know. That's a big if. Man, I can't believe SSG threw that. That was crazy. Watch my kickoff video. Thoughts on OCE is a region coming out of Worlds. Solid number 5 region in the world. Energy will do a roster change. I have no clue. I think they should if they want to win events. Why is Mena struggling? Long distances travel. A lot of, debut lands for some of the player. Well, debut international lands. And lack of confidence. Still a big learning experience. Still a great result. Mena have really done well for their first season. Which teams will not make a roster move? I would be devastated if Moist, BDS, Team Liquid, Carmine Corp, G2, FaZe, V1, Falcons, Furia. If any of them made it, or the club, if any of them made a roster move, I'd be like, oh, why though? You had a winning formula there. Team would be good. The Rattles, I'm not sure. BDS truly that strong. BDS were definitely better. BDS being more warmed up. Oh, it's a classic like warmed up versus tired argument that I see every time. If G2 won, people would be like, oh, but BDS had to play twice in a row. They're tired. And BDS won, so it's like they're more warmed up. It's the classic. The classic. They were fine. Both teams were ready. BDS were just better. Dream team to take on BDS. Yan, definitely in there. Don't know how much language barrier would be an issue, but if we're ignoring language barrier, I'm going to say best team to take on BDS is Yan. Vatira. And then who is going to be the perfect third for them? It might still be TRK, It might actually still be TRK, because TRK is very adaptable. He could play third man, he could play second. You've got Yan, who can clearly play third. He can play first in the past. Vatira can play third. Like, they're very adaptable players. I think that would be the one. If language barrier is not a thing, my dream team to take on BDS would still be Yan, TRK, Vatira, because they're all very, very adaptable players. I think there's other players that you guys are mentioning, like First Killer Beast Mode. I feel like they only work in a system, a particular system that works for them. Most of the NA players have a system of how they play, and if they're not in that, they're not as good, from what I've seen. But I've seen TRK, Vatira, and Yan show versatility. Hottest free agents NA EU? I'm not sure. I'd have to know more behind the scenes. Grumpy Kids, thanks for the 17-month Prime. Welcome back to the channel. Also Desmond Bane, aka Bane. Thanks for the brand new Prime. Most memorable moment meeting a person. Man, there's a lot of people. I met a ton of people at this event. A lot of them are very memorable, but one funny one was, as you guys know, Moist Critical, Charlie was like on the fence about going. I watched his YouTube video. He was on the fence about going because he had to get a flight, and he's got a phobia of flying. So last I'd heard was that he might be going. I heard that he might be going, and then we went to a bar, and I just walk in, and he's just there. I was like, oh, I guess he came. Just gave him a fist bump and then left him to do his thing. I was like, oh well, there he is. Didn't expect him to see here of all places. So that was pretty ridiculous. But a lot of the people I met, I'd met before. Oh yeah, I met Scissors as well. I hadn't met Scissors before, I don't think. Don't think he was at LA, was he? I really hope he wasn't. Now that I've said that, that would be a disaster. LA for me is such a blur because I was jet lagged and exhausted the entire time, so I've absolutely forgotten at least one interaction there that I should just not speak. I'm gonna offend someone. Which LAN was better, Spring Major or Worlds? In different ways. Both had their things that they were better at than the other. Spring Major was in a better location for like things to do, because London is a lot more connected and a lot more of a diverse place than Fort Worth, Texas is. Fort Worth, Texas was it was difficult to like find food that wasn't Tex-Mex or Texas barbecue, which were both decent, but London, I feel like I ate a lot better because there was like more food options. So yeah, food was way better in London. There was way more stuff to do. And yeah, the atmosphere in the Spring Major was unrivaled. But yeah, Worlds is like the biggest, most international and longest format we've ever had. That was sick. I also got to stream from here, which was awesome. Got to do some ones streaming in London. So yeah, Worlds had like some really, really cool things that London didn't, but you can't really compare if you're talking about LAN. And like city-wise, like which city is more fun to go to, London or Dallas-Fort Worth? Well, obviously London. And which LAN is, going to be a more memorable experience? Yeah, probably London. But Worlds was sick. It was still really, really sick. Saudi LAN food? Yeah, listen, Gamers 8 food was incredible as well. Top 5 ones players after East-West. Ooh. Okay, well, East-West is all best of one, so you can't change about too much. But after doing a lot of 1v1s recently, let's think about that. So outside of the 1v1s that I did, outside of the best of ones we did at Worlds, I did a couple of 1v1 show matches where Khaled beat AJ, TRK swept First Killer, Jack beat Yan, KV1 beat Joriaz. So with that in mind, I think top 5 right now, the only people I had in tier A before, A tier, that are now S tier for sure, are Roas and Daniel. Now plus 2 inconsistent still. Now the players who are in the conversation for top 5 are apparently Jack, KV1, Moxie, TRK, Daniel, Roas, probably Khaled. I think I said 7 names there, didn't I? I don't think Joriaz can be top 5 right now because he lost to KV1 in a show match. Yeah, Khaled beat AJ, First Killer, lost to TRK. I think TRK is still top 5 without question. I think apparently Jack is still top 5 without question. I think you got to put Daniel in there. He looks super strong right now. I think Yan has to go in there probably. Maybe not. I don't know. Yan's a tough one. Yan is a very tough one because he did pretty good at Gamers 8 and he won a best of 1, but he did lose to Jack in a show match. I don't know if Yan should be top 5. Like, yeah, there's like so many like crazies in there. I think KV1's got to go in there ahead of Yan. Like KV1, Appjack. How many have I said? Daniel, KV1, Appjack, TRK. That's 4. Then you can pick one of Roas, Moxie, Khaled, and Yan. It's pretty tough. Pretty tough. I think you'd have to go Moxie. But yeah, Khaled, Roas, and Yan are all right there behind him. It's close. Like, ones isn't such a good place. Favorite casting moment? 1v on RLCS. Don't really have a moment. I don't know. I don't really think too much like that. I'm like more there for the entire experience. What team's gonna make the biggest leap forward? That's got to be like the youngsters in the Middle East, surely, because they weren't old enough before. Chances of organizing a standing area to help increase the atmosphere. I don't know. Like, there's advantages and disadvantages with that. Obviously, people get way more tired in a standing area, and it gets very crowded. What teams will have a similar upcoming season, like the one Moist just had? Emerge from nothing and become great. Well, again, it has to be the youngsters from the Middle East, surely. They're like, it's scripted for them. Yeah, Liquid already had a top 8 LAN finish, so it's harder to say that they're coming out of nothing. They're not nothing right now. Quarterfinals on Saturday? I don't think so, because that would have meant that four additional teams don't play in front of the big crowd, which would be a worse trade-off. Like, if you do quarterfinals on the Saturday, your trade-off that you lose is having the lower round 1 be in front of the big crowd, which I think is too much of a loss to make it worthwhile. I don't think the schedule was that bad. People are complaining about it, but I don't think it was that bad. I think the time zone just suffered a little bit. We should have probably started earlier in the day rather than change the format and do more best of fives. I would love a 1 circuit. I think it's plausible. Favorite fan interaction. I don't know if I've got like a favorite one interaction, but I'm always honored and always flattered for all of you guys to come up and say hi. And I'll happily stand until my feet are sore to say hi to all of you. I was quite lucky with my own personal timing of this event. Like on the last day I was doing pre-show and then the second last cast, so I had a big gap in the middle that I didn't need to worry. Like when I was in LA and London, I kept having to leave lines of people coming to see me because I had to go cast or go in the desk or something. But in Texas that didn't happen. It just happened that I was free for a long period of time, so I could just stand for hours. It honestly is ridiculous. It's flattering. Roster predictions? I can't do that. Who was your favorite person you met? I can't do that either. Thoughts and talks. You already talked about the crowd. I think summary for anyone who wasn't there. NA crowd just needs to understand that, and like the NA community needs to understand that this isn't EU versus NA. It's not. You guys should not be arguing this from the POV of EU versus NA. We, the Rocket League community, are a team. It's like a relationship. You're never going to solve any problems in a relationship if you think about it as you versus the other person. You need to think of it as you, the team, against the problem. And the problem is, there's clearly a problem that the EU crowd is having more fun and are producing a better product for the online viewing experience than the American crowds. And it's pretty consistent throughout history. That is the problem. Now that's an easy fix. We're telling you, the Europeans who are, part of the reason, or, who understand why EU consistently has like better vibes and has more fun and is a better product for online viewers. We're telling you it's pretty simple actually. All you got to do is show, some appreciation for the teams that are beating your favorite teams. That's it. Small ask. And, we don't say that to wind you up and to say that, it's us versus you. We're better than you and all that. That's not the objective. The objective is that we want to help everyone understand how easy it is to have as much fun as the crowd did in London. It's not hard. It's not about like silly chants and stuff. That's culture. But the reason the crowd's having fun is because they just want to watch good Rocket League and they're appreciating all the teams. Rather than just having one team they're a fan of and then being sad when they see them lose, inevitably. Because Rocket League's too unpredictable. So that's the summary. Hopefully people in the future can just enjoy it more, because there's a lot of very sad fans that I met. People come up to you with like a NRG shirt on or a Space Station shirt. I'm like, who are you rooting for? They're like sadly saying, yeah, SSG. I'm like, I don't want to see that. I want to see them be like, oh, Space Station, but I'm just here for Rocket League. Would have loved to see SSG win, but I'm having the time of my life anyway. That's what I want. I want to have you guys have a good time. What the energy have to do to get back on top, assuming no roster change? This is like, Johnny tries to answer this question in his AMA challenge. Impossible. Best car design at Worlds. I'm not the guy to answer that. Is it NAEU discourse ultimately bad for the scene? I don't think so. I think it's really funny and provides a ton of content. I think some people get way too salty about it. At the end of the day, it's just good fun. The crowd conversation turned into NA versus EU because people are just stupid. They didn't realize like it was just memes. It was memes, it was impression farming, and it was like the EU community just saying, guys, listen, we know you lost. Try and have some fun anyway. It's a world championship. Try and enjoy yourselves. That's all it is. It's not that deep. Best possible energy. Best team NA. Invent the time machine. That was best possible way for energy to become best team in NA. How is the format for the Friday Night Duels? Yeah, Psionics came at me with they said, what's the best thing we could do in three games? I suggested this, and that's what we went for. Did the final day peak too early with Moist Furia? Well, I mean, it did. That was the best series of the day, but you can never control that. That's just going to happen, isn't it? Sometimes that just happens. What teams do you see changing rosters? A lot. Do you see top team for me, NA and EU, making roster changes? Yes. The most surprising moment throughout the event? Semper doing well. Top hopeful picks for next Worlds location. I showed that earlier. Chances top 25 players will definitely do one. How much influence did I have on Friday Night Duels? Yeah, it was definitely my idea. But yeah, they told me, like I said, three games. What could we do? That's what we went for. What are your future ideas for integrating 1v1? I mean, I've got lots of ideas, but I don't know what's realistic yet, so there's nothing worth sharing. Most underrated team and most overrated team. Alright, type 1 in chat if you think NRG are a top 10 team at the World Championship. Type 1 in chat if you think NRG were a top 10 team at the World Championship. Okay, it looks like they're not the most overrated team then. Nobody's typing 1. Wrong audience. I mean, half my audience is NA. It's like 11 at night. There's definitely 50% like NA, 50% EU right now watching my stream. It's always the same. Feel like my chat's pretty reasonable when it comes to predictions. Alright. Were G2 the second best team at the event? Type 2 in chat if G2 were the second best team. Darkbeat, thanks for 64-month tier 1. I did say type 2, nobody's typing 2. Maybe I confused chat with that one. Alright, I guess G2's not overrated either. I don't know if anybody's really being overrated. Probably like the most underrated team will be the club, because they didn't make top 8. So some people will just be like, that team doesn't matter. But yeah, the club's probably the most underrated. Because the other teams like Falcons and Space Station didn't make top 8 either, but people already know who they are. So probably the club's most underrated. Most overrated? I don't think any team's like massively overrated right now. If I'm honest. G2 like didn't play their best, but BDS they were just better. So yeah, BDS played very well. Every team BDS played badly. G2, V1, Furia towards the end. Do you believe this because the way BDS play? Yeah, it's partly contributing to the fact, yeah. BDS like don't give space. We talked about this years ago. Do you guys remember when I first brought up the fact that it was after SMAD? Somebody said bring up SMAD. Okay, we'll bring up SMAD. Do you guys remember after SMAD? Somebody on my stream asked me, why do you think EU dominated? And I said, okay, well after watching the matches, there's a clear like difference in pressure that the teams are putting on each other. The EU teams are in the NA teams' faces. Meanwhile, the NA teams are like just, you know, rotating away from the play a lot. And in response to that, instead of NA addressing this problem, they became fully like hypocritical and said, no, actually, it's the other way around. NA teams are the ones that put pressure on, and EU teams are passive. And then Fall Major happened, and they were like, okay, maybe they were right. Maybe EU does actually just put more pressure on the opponents. But it's still true to this day. It still reigns true. EU teams just put more pressure on their opponents. Sam and Mena teams as well. They put way more pressure on their opponents than NA teams do. It often leads to mistakes. It often leads to overcommitments. If you're not calming or feeling good, if you're not calming well or feeling like really confident, it can backfire immensely. But if you are feeling good and you're calming well, dominant. It's a dominant style. So yeah, NA is very passive. So it's consistent, but it will never peak unless to win a tournament. NA needs all the teams who play aggressively to play badly. Or not badly, just not play really well. Tazrin's third med team. How do you feel about the West sweeping? I think I talked about this before. I think apparently Jack and TRK are definitely more series players. Like there is a little bit of relevant copium about the 1v1s not being a series. I think in a best of one, TRK and Jack are very good at adapting to their opponent. But I don't know if it would have mattered in the TRK versus Yan series because Yan looked so much more confident. I think Yan that day would have probably beaten TRK in a series. Daniel that day is definitely beating Joreas in a series. I think Jack's the one that probably would have been able to beat KV1. If that was a series, I would have backed Jack to win. When I think about Astral, he's incredible. Very, very good player. He should be the MVP? No. I don't think he's MVP, but he's incredible. Never been to someone who's never been to an RLC event before. Are there many things to do before or after the event, or is it just watch the games and disappear for another 6 months? I mean, there's a lot of online Rocket League to watch in between. When I think of Khaled's performance, I thought he was like really solid in defense versus Carmine Corp. He was really holding it together. Versus Dignitas, he started off very nervous, you could see. And versus FaZe as well, I think he was nervous. But yeah, he played a really solid series versus Carmine Corp. I think Ahmad was a bit flat versus KC, but versus Dig, Ahmad was ridiculous. So they just never like all showed up at the same time. Do you think any teams will make unnecessary roster moves? 100%. They're children with lots of power and money. Of course they're going to make bad decisions. Would I ever coach a high-level team? Probably not, because I don't really enjoy it. No idea where Rattles will end up. What are your thoughts on SSG King? Rattles already talked about this. You know, it happens. I don't know all the details. Can't really comment. Is the best team in the world clear cut as a result? E.g. best in the world is BDS, Furia Furia 4 best, etc. I don't think so. I would factor in like London for sure because it was so recent, and LA to a lesser extent, and online to an even lesser extent, and Gamers 8 as well as part of the equation. But yeah, I think BDS are definitely the number one team. My number two team would probably be Moist right now. I think like off the top of my head, I mean, who are your guys' top teams right now? Top 10. I think it's probably BDS, Moist, G2, Furia, FaZe, then probably Falcons, Carmine Corp pretty close as well. V1 SSG very close together. The club. Have I already said 10? BDS, Moist, G2, Furia, FaZe, Falcons, Carmine Corp, V1 SSG, the club. And then the dark horses, like I talked about earlier, are Liquid and F16 from Mena. Already talked about Falcons. Is Spring Major the peak? I don't think so. I think like the peak for Falcons would be winning because they're a contender. You know, the peak for any team who's not won is winning. Like Carmine Corp. I think anyone out of FaZe, Furia, Falcons, Carmine Corp, V1, SSG, the peak for all of them is winning. I have no idea where the SSG drama happened, and do you think this season a minor region team, in quotation marks, wins a RLCS LAN? Yeah, I think they will. And alright, I think that's everything. We did it. Like a boss, thanks for 200 bits. Says Furia beat Moist. That's got to put Furia over Moist. Nah, I don't see why that should put them over Moist. They won with a 2-second winner in game 7. Moist literally won London like last month. But it just depends like how highly you rate London compared to Worlds. I think London is probably worth, like, in terms of team ranking, like obviously in terms of prestige and in terms of, you know, historical significance, Worlds is worth a lot more than London. But in terms of like ranking teams, London is probably worth about half. It's probably worth about half, I would say. In terms of ranking teams, I want to remind you guys. Like, if you're looking at ranked teams, I'd probably say London is about half as important as Worlds. I mean, it's an international major, isn't it? What do you think? All the teams just showed up to London and tried to lose? No, obviously they were trying to win. So by that logic, BDS wouldn't be number 1. Their average placement is 8th. I mean, that's not really how you should do average placements, in my opinion. The way I do it when I'm ranking teams is not like one team is first and another team is 16th. One team is first and another team was this many rounds away from first. Like, if you look at, okay, the final is one match, lower finals another, lower semi, lower quarter, lower in 3, 2, 1. That's how far away a team is from first. They're that many series away. And if you total up, okay, that's how many series away BDS were from first. Then Moist were like 2 series away twice. But yeah, you could make a case for Moist being first. You could make a case for Moist being first. It's close. I think BDS Moist are the clear top 2. And then it's probably like I said, Furia FaZe or FaZe Furia, depending what you think. I think it's Moist BDS top 2. Very close. G2 clear 3rd. FaZe Furia are very close. I'd put Furia ahead of FaZe. Some people might put FaZe ahead of Furia. Then I'd probably go Falcons Falcons KC V1 SSG, but I think Falcons KC and V1 are all very close, and SSG are like a definite like 9th. And then you've got the collab with Team Liquid and F16 being dark horses. That's my top 12. But yeah, I'll have to think about it some more before I put anything official on that. Like a Boss, thanks for 300 bits, says, what happened to Complexity? Shouldn't they have been better than Furia if they were toasting them with Sam? Okay, well, what happened to Complexity is they moved to North America, and North America like diluted their aggression and, you know, made them a shadow of what they once were, because NA is just a passive region. And if you scrim passive players all the time, it's going to rub off on you eventually. But recently, Razebull discovered himself again in 1v1, and now he's a monster again, and it's brought Complexity back to their their former great self again. But the other problem, the reason Furia are better than Complexity, is because Furia picked up the best Brazilian player in Yan. In RLCS Season X, they did not have Yan. They had Tander, who, no disrespect to him, he's nowhere near Yan level. So Furia had the 2nd and 3rd best Brazilian players in Card and Kaio, then they picked up the best player, Yan, and they made a super team. So they were already better than Complexity, even at the start of the season. And then Complexity, yeah, they like stagnated a little bit. They had like a season like this where they went down and back up again, whereas Furia just steadily improved. So I think Fall Major, Complexity were better. Winter, Furia had passed them. And then obviously Spring and Worlds, Furia are like one of the best teams in the world. But yeah, now Lost is up there. I think Lost is a beast. But that just shows that South America as a whole is on the rise. How many more wins for Monkey Moon to become the GOAT, since Worlds are more prestigious now? I think Monkey Moon, like, you guys have got to remember, Turbopulsa won 4 Worlds, and he also won DreamHack Leipzig 2019. He won Beyond the Summit Rocket League, and he won Gnarly 2. Turbopulsa has won 7 LANs. So if we consider majors now to be roughly worth a Worlds back in the day, because I think that that's a fair thing to, if you're talking about GOAT status, I think a major now is around about the same as a Worlds in the old format, because majors now are bigger than Worlds ever was, and they're, you know, every bit as competitive. So Monkey Moon has won Fall Major and Worlds. And if Fall Major cancels out one of the Worlds that Turbo's got, which is a debate, by the way, that's not a guarantee, then Turbo still has 3 Worlds and 3 other LANs. And if Monkey Moon's Worlds win cancels out 2 of the Worlds wins Turbo's got, Turbo still has 1 Worlds and 3 other LANs. Now, if Monkey Moon's like online major domination, like in the online era, RLCS Season X, even if that is enough to cancel out the 3 other LANs that Turbo has, Beyond the Summit, DreamHack, Leipzig, and Gnarly 2, even if you cancel all that out, and this is all a stretch, by the way, saying that you know, a major cancels out a Worlds, and Monkey Moon's Worlds cancels out 2 of Turbo's Worlds, and that the RLCS Season X accomplishments of Monkey Moon cancel out the rest of Turbo's lands, then Turbo still has 1 extra Worlds on Monkey Moon. So I think before Monkey Moon can even be in the conversation with K-Dop and Turbo, he needs to win at least 1 more major. 1 more major, he's in the conversation. 2 more majors, he's GOAT. 1 more Worlds, Monkey Moon's the GOAT. That's the way I see it. If Monkey Moon wins Worlds again, he's the GOAT. If he wins 2 more majors, he's the GOAT. But 1 more major, we get him in the conversation, for sure. Worlds is worth double now, because there's only 1 a year. There's 24 teams instead of 12. But yeah, any more questions to Twitch chat? Now's the time to do it. Justin's above him. Justin's probably like quite close to Monkey Moon in terms of GOAT status right now. Like, GOAT status for me is a 2-horse race. It's Turbo and K-Dop. Next in line would be like Garrett, and then you've got players like Monkey Moon and Justin. Liquid for upcoming season. I think they're going to be contender at every LAN they go to. I think they're going to qualify for all LANs. Chasing V9, thanks to the 10-month Prime, he says, thanks for content. Do you think RLCS is becoming less predictable due to approaching the skill ceiling? I don't think it's becoming less predictable because of that necessarily. Seems each new wave of players is better by a smaller margin each wave. I mean, Rocket League was always notoriously hard to predict. It's never been easy to predict Rocket League. I think the reason Rocket League is hard to predict is because the pitch is small. So most of the goals happen because of things largely outside of players' control, compared to a 1v1, where the pitch is much bigger compared to the players, and players have a lot more control of every interaction, every engagement. Yeah, JNaps deserves a shout as well, actually. How do I think Colo would have done at Worlds? If they you know, practiced, they would have definitely had a shot again at a wild card. Nipo's absolutely ridiculous. Did I speak with Charlie? I did. I spoke with Charlie. He's a nice guy. I've yet to meet any. Not yet to, but I rarely meet anyone from Rocket League community that's not incredibly nice. There's a new Kung Fu Panda I didn't know. What's going to happen to NRG? I have no idea. Best ones player in every region. For Sam, it's Yan and KV1. For North America, it's Daniel. For Europe, it's Moxie and Jack. And for Middle East, it's TRK. For West and Khaled still being very relevant. No idea what Vitali's plans are. Do you think Dig would have won major regionals Worlds if the format was like that in their era? Which Dignitas? Like the GOAT Dignitas? Top 3 underrated players? Going into Worlds, Exotic was super underrated. I think Lost was super underrated going into Worlds, but probably not anymore. A lot of people always say Itachi's underrated, but who's underrating Itachi? I don't get it. Who's underrating Itachi? I don't understand. Yeah, Card probably. Who's underrating Beast Mode? Like, you guys are ridiculous. Come on. That's crazy to me to think that somebody's underrating Itachi. Itachi's insane. Only Dad said Itachi in top 24. Yeah, I ran out of space, man. Listen, you guys, if you think it's easy to make a top 24 out of like 72 players, go and do it yourselves. It's so hard. There's so many players. Like, it's hard to fit them all in. It really is. Like, what's gonna happen is you're gonna write down all the players that you want to have in your top 24. Then you're gonna count how many you've got. You'll be like, oh no, I've got 39 players. How am I supposed to get this down to 24? That's what happens every time. I'm gonna make a top 24 list. I write down all the players that I think in my head are that good. Then I realize I'm way over the bar. I'm like, oh no, I've got to cut like 15 of them. How am I gonna cut 15 players? Try it though, it's really fun. It's very, very hard to do.